everyone, and welcome to the opening drive on 101 ESPN in St. Louis, where it's 7 o'clock. Your time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. Brooke Grimsley is here. Danny Mac is here. Matthew Rocchio is here. I'm Randy Carricker. Great to have you with us. How are we doing, kids?
I'm doing great this morning. I did not have any coffee left at home, so I had to wait a little bit. I usually like to start as soon as I get ready in the morning, start my day off with coffee. I forgot to buy new coffee. And that was disappointing.
What do you do? Do you go to Starbucks or something, or do you just wait till you get here and take advantage of the free coffee here at 101 ESPN?
That's exactly what I did, because if I know there's free coffee, then that is enough to get me here a little bit earlier and to get the coffee going. And, guys, there was pumpkin spice flavoring, too, in the kitchen.
Today?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
In-house?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I know a lot of people don't like pumpkin spice, but I'm a huge fan of it, especially this time of year.
Of course. How can you not like at least the idea of pumpkin spice? It's fall, for gosh sakes.
I love it. I have it all the time. And this time of year, October, Halloween right around the corner, pumpkin spice it is.
Wow. Dan, I know that you're very picky with some of the things that you like, but I like that you like pumpkin spice.
Yeah, I'm in on pumpkin spice.
Just no ketchup and tomatoes.
No, I don't. Well, no, I have ketchup. I just don't like tomatoes.
Okay, I got to keep this up on my running list. You've never eaten a tomato?
No, we've already been through this. I'll eat the ketchup, but just not the tomato.
I'm always shocked by it.
You can call whatever you want.
BS.
Yeah, I know.
I think you have
shocking that you would come at somebody and be contrarian.
I think you've eaten a tomato before. I don't think you knew it. But I think you've eaten a tomato.
A secret tomato just in your burger one time.
Yep. Here's what we got coming up on this fabulous program today. Our buddy Greg Amsinger of MLB Network will allegedly join us at the bottom of this hour. Bernie, last week he didn't join us.
He had a freak accident. He apologized.
Okay.
Oh, we missed last week, too?
Yeah.
What happened?
Well, freak accident.
He had a freak accident. He apologized.
Okay, well,
Bernie Federko will be with us at 8:15. We'll continue our series of interviews with players from the 1999 St. Louis Rams. Former Rams defensive end Grant Wistrom interviewed him, and he will be with us at 8:45. And then Moose Johnston, Cowboys super. Remember, Brooke, you might not realize this, Matthew. The Cowboys actually won Super Bowls back in the day.
They did?
Yeah, and Moose Johnston.
With Jerry Jones owning the team?
With Jerry Jones owning the team, yeah. And Moose Johnston, who won 3 of those Super Bowls, also is a preeminent analyst on Fox and is the vice president of football operations for the UFL. He's going to join us coming up at 9:15, so we're looking forward to hearing from Moose. Talk a little Battlehawks, too.
Yeah, I'm really excited. You sent over some of the games that he has covered this year, and sadly, he had to cover the Titans and Packers.
Yeah, well, you can't have everything. I mean, Tom Brady's making all that money. They got to put him on good games.
Yeah. He's not going to cover one of those games, is he?
But no, I don't think so. But Moose is a good guy. It'll be great to have him. Baseball last night. And by the way, baseball today, you've got 2 games coming up again, which are this postseason is unfolding the way that Fox wants it to unfold. But the LCSs continue today. You've got Mets, Dodgers, and you've got Mets, Doyers, and then Junkies, Guardians. Last night, it was the Dodgers 8 and the Mets nothing. Big surprise in that Walker Buehler went 4 scoreless innings, allowed 3 hits, struck out 6 and walked a couple. Not a surprise that Shohei Ohtani, who's pretty good, hit a long home run. It was... See, this is a StatCast thing. They say this was 397. You buying 397?
No, it was over 400.
I thought so too. Yeah.
If they don't have a second deck at Citi Field, it's probably going to LaGuardia. I mean, he destroyed that baseball.
Yeah.
You know what's weird is that he's got 17 hits in his last 20 at bats with runners in scoring position. With the bases empty, he's 0 for 22.
Wow.
I don't know if he bears down more, if he's getting more pitches to hit, which would seem absurd at this point, but he's just an anomaly, man, with runners in scoring position.
I would say there is such thing as clutch.
Yeah. And he's got the clutch gene.
He does.
Yeah, Shohei Ohtani has that. I mean, he created his own club this season, so it's not a surprise that when you're talking about Major League Baseball wanting it to play out in this way, it looks like, as of right now, it would be the Dodgers and the Yankees facing each other in the World Series. And really, it's just the cream rising to the top and the stars really showcasing themselves like Shohei Ohtani. What you talked about there, Dan, is really not even that shocking if you watch Shohei Ohtani this season, but the fact that he's able to come up so clutch in those situations, he is a superstar, and he deserves to be the MVP for things like that.
And we want to hear that Ohtani blast, don't we?
19 typo numbers. There's a towering drive down the line. Ohtani's broken He's on base. Good things happen for Shohei Ohtani.
Before Ohtani's home run, Kike Hernandez had hit one in the 6th. Max Muncy hit one in the 9th. Home runs, home runs, home runs. Doyers win 8-0, and they're up in the series 2-1.
Don't overlook what they're doing with the bottom of their order, too. And Tommy Edman, the former Cardinal, leads the Dodgers in hits, batting average, stolen bases, and has played shortstop at a high level, filling in for Miguel Rojas, who's going to try to get back from a sports hernia, potentially for the World Series if they get there. Kike Hernandez has been great. And going into this series...
He just doesn't give a F.
Well, he said it. Going into this series...
Are we live?
No. Yes. You know, they talked about the pitching, and we all did. Right. We all said, well, they're not going to have enough starting pitching. It's their 4th shutout in the past 5 games, and they've gotten great starts from Flaherty, Yamamoto, and then last night Buehler. So they are finding some starting pitching to get them over the hump.
Yeah, Tommy Edman has been such a great addition for the Dodgers and so invaluable, especially when you're talking about that 9-hole and what he's been able to bring to this team. I think it was really surprising, I guess, to see the Mets just come out and lay a goose egg like that. I'm not taking anything away from how talented this Dodgers team is, but after you had a performance in that last game where you're able to win like that, I get it was a bullpen game for the Dodgers, where you're surprised that the Mets just came out flat after a big win like that. It felt like all the energy was just sucked out of them.
I didn't think Walker Buehler had that. They look alike. I didn't think Walker Buehler had that. And last night he had stuff which he had not displayed at all this season, regular season or playoffs. And to get 4 scoreless innings out of him was something that I didn't expect. I did not expect him to be able to shut down that Mets offense.
He had 18 swings and misses. He hadn't had that all season long, so that helped him. He was using a sweeper a little bit more. Sweeper, slider, whatever you want to call it. He uses curveball a bunch too, so he was using off-speed pitches. For the Mets, when you look at Francisco Alvarez, this is the series in which he has to be better. He's 1 for 9 in the series. Yeah. The last 2 games, he's hitless in at-bats with runners on second and third, bases loaded 2 outs, runners on first and second 2 outs, bases loaded 1 out. If he comes through in any of those situations, you might be talking about a different series. But you know what? It is what it is, and it looks like if you're Fox, you're saying L.A., New York, Yankees, Dodgers, and this is exactly what we want.
That's exactly what they want, because it would be fantastic for TV ratings and better than what happened last year with the TV ratings, which I know we're going to get into today. But it was just missed opportunity after missed opportunity for the Mets. 8 left on base. And also, the Mets have issued 22 walks through 3 games so far in this series. So they have got to clean that up.
Yeah, and today, the Mets tonight, 7 o'clock game, St. Louis time, they'll pitch Jose Quintana. He'll go against Yoshi Yamamoto. 7:10 tonight on FS1. And this afternoon at 4, the Yankees and Guardians. Yankees will pitch Clark Schmidt against Matthew Boyd. And both the Yankees and Dodgers can get within a game of the World Series. And another thing about potential Yankees-Dodgers World Series, I think any rational baseball fan, if asked to put together a list of the top 10 players in baseball, will have Judge, Soto, Ohtani, and Betts on that list. And there's a chance that they could have Freddie Freeman on that list, too. So you might have half of the top 10 players in baseball.
Yeah, Freddie right now looks like a singles hitter, doesn't he?
Yeah, that ankle's...
He's compromised. Yeah. Under the current format, which is 2-3-2, teams that broke a 1-1 tie by winning Game 3 on the road have won 75% of the time. So the odds are stacked against the Mets, and we'll see what happens in Game 3 with the Yankees and Guardians.
I was thinking about this last night, just seeing what Shohei Ohtani is doing right now during the postseason. You talked about the runners in scoring position, how clutch he is. In your opinion, maybe a player that you've seen in your entire lifetime, who do you think is the best postseason player in baseball that you've seen? I know that Reggie Jackson is Mr. October, but is there another player that just immediately comes to your mind?
Jim Edmonds.
He was pretty darn good. I was thinking Albert Pujols, too. I mean, the 3 home run game against Texas, what he did against Houston with that dramatic home run. They did win the series, but came through at big times. I mean, those would be 2 guys that come to mind right away.
Yeah, Jeter was a clutch performer in the postseason. If you go back, Joe Morgan always seemed to do something during the postseason for the Big Red Machine. There have been guys, but the closest to home, I'll never forget when we were in the midst of the pandemic and we didn't have sports in October of 2020, and we did a thing this date in Cardinal playoff history. for the month of October. Pretty much every day there was a Jim Edmonds thing.
Was it really?
Yeah, he was. Now let me give you Jimmy Edmonds.
It's not only what he did at the plate, but also what he did defensively. I mean, he won Game 7 of the 04 in LCS against Houston. A couple good texts coming in. Big Papi, obviously.
Oh, yeah, great. Yep.
Beltran, what he did against the Cardinals was impressive.
Tony said he was 11 for 10.
Yeah, and he parlayed that into a huge contract with the Mets and really became an outstanding center fielder with them, but made a lot of money off that postseason.
Yeah, Jimmy Edmonds, an 874 career postseason OPS, 13 homers, 42 RBIs in 263 plate appearances.
Yeah, I was going to go with Albert Pujols there, just because we talked about this on Monday, some of the best home runs that you've seen in the postseason for the Cardinals, and one that just always sticks out to me is Albert Pujols just crushing 3 homers. Remember in Game 3 of the 2011 World Series? I always think about that. He really was the machine, especially in the postseason.
Career 319. Hitter in the postseason with a 995 OPS. This is Albert.
Wow, 995.
Yeah, against the best pitching you'll see.
Yep.
19 homers, 54 RBIs, and this is in 360 plate appearances.
Pretty good.
Yeah. Oh, and you know who Manny Ramirez was a really good.
Oh, yeah, he was really good. I'd have to give it to Big Papi. I think if you're going to pick one, after what he did in the World Series against the Cardinals, look at the comeback victories that they had against the Yankees, Big Papi's got to be there.
How did they keep pitching to him?
I have no idea. It's still a question that is asked and no answer for. I mean, you just walk him. You don't give him a chance to beat you. He was on fire in that World Series.
Unbelievable. And he actually asked Adam Wainwright, when he first started with Fox Pop, he said, I got a question for you. Why did you keep pitching to me in the 2013 World Series? We have Blues hockey tonight here on 101 ESPN. They take on the Islanders. Pregame at 6, action at 7. That game can be seen on Bally, too. The first Bally home telecast of the season. And Thursday Night Football, Broncos and Saints kick off Week 7 with Al Michaels and Kirk Herbstreit on Prime. What are your friends saying about that one?
It's kind of a toss-up at this point. They're going to do a big deep dive and evaluation around 4 o'clock.
Okay, good.
Sean Payton returns to New Orleans. That'll be kind of cool to see. You mentioned the Blues being in action tonight. Got to wonder if Letty is going to play. He's been dealing with a quote-unquote lower body injury. So I'm kind of fascinated to see how the Blues respond and if they get off to a better start going into tonight's game.
And you've seen Suter, it looks like, at practice yesterday. With Letty being out, that he's back to that top pairing with Colton Parayko. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I understand that the veteran status matters here, but I do eventually just want to see Broberg maybe once with Colton Parayko. I know they've done it. I just want to see it soon.
It seems like the Blues, ever since Alex Pietrangelo left, they've been looking for a guy to pair with Parayko, and it seems like the ones that work best with him are veteran guys. Even now, he is a veteran. It seems like rather than him carrying his partner kind of has to complement him more than the true Hall of Fame quality guys that we've had here, the Pietrangelos, the McKinnises, the Prongers. I think Colton Parayko is a great player, but I don't think that he is a difference maker, a number one defenseman. Let me put it that way. I don't think he's a number one.
I'm with Brooke, though. I'd love to see that pairing because they both can skate so well. Both are big. Now, Parayko doesn't play as big as maybe some would like, but seeing those two together, give it a little run, I think it'd be kind of fun to see. But Suter with Parayko, Suter's been around for 50 years.
Yeah.
Put him with them and let those two go.
I think it's really interesting what you just brought up because it almost reminds me of the ace discussion that we have around pitching of what is considered even a true ace anymore. Of course, Colton Parayko, he's able to handle, we saw last season, those top defenseman minutes, but you're talking about kind of that prototypical look and build and even feel of a true number one defenseman.
Does he make the guy next to him better? And a guy like Broberg hasn't even played a full season in the NHL yet. I think that's what you're looking at for. And I think that Parayko is great, but I don't think that he makes those partners, those defense partners with him, appreciably better.
I wonder at what point does Drew Bannister say, the heck with it, and Buchnevich is going to go to a wing with Thomas and Kyrou. We're going to roll out that first line and try to get more scoring, get Thomas going more offensively. Kyrou did have the goal the other night that was disallowed, so that would have given him 3. But just to get Robert Thomas going a little bit offensively and move Buch to the top line. I guess they can do that. They'll mix and match throughout the game, but just start with that and see what it looks like.
Who would you like to see if Buchnevich Buchnevich isn't your number 2 center as your number 2 center?
Texier when he gets back.
I would look at Shen. I'd move him up. You know, I think that you have to with his the fact that he's been around forever. Texier would be an option too. Looks like the extras are Texier, Walker, and Sundquist skating yesterday, but I'd move Shen up. I know he's probably not that type of player anymore, but you're left with what you got, and maybe he's the guy.
They have options, no doubt about it. And at some point, hopefully, Dvorsky will rise to a level where they're comfortable bringing him up from Springfield.
Yeah, that is the big question, is who's going to be your second-line center. And it feels like it's just continuing to be a game of figuring out, like, musical chairs, if you will. Texier, of course, he's been dealing with his injury, so I'd assume when he's fully ready to go that he will take back over that role.
And I think also, because they asked Buchnevich when they signed him about playing center, he said, hey, I don't mind playing center or wing, but just keep me where you put me. I don't think that he wants to be bounced around, and I think that's something they need to be cognizant of, too. If you're going to take him off center now, then you're taking him off center.
Then at times, though, they moved him up to that top line just to get a jump.
In games, right, yeah.
So maybe they do that a little bit more and, just try to catch lightning in a bottle with that.
Yep. Coming up here on 101 ESPN, we've got Sick of It. Get your text into the Air Comfort Service text line, 314-399-9646, 314-399-YO-HO. Dan is participating. We want you to as well. Next on Sick of It on 101 ESPN. Hey, you've got a big Mizzou game against Auburn on Saturday, and if you aren't going to the game, then you need to watch it at the Fenton Bar and Grill on Rudder Road in Fenton. Stop by, say hi. They're only 2 minutes away from the soccer park. You can head over to Rudder Road and check out everything that they have. They have hired out a giant truck for their games. They've got beer specials. They've got drink specials. They've got a fantastic appetizer special for Saturday game, $6, and you have quite a group of people to serve you. Alicia's going to be there. Casey is going to be there. Just stop by and say hi and enjoy Mizzou football at the Fenton Bar and Grill. And oh, by the way, if you're looking for a great place for lunch or happy hour today, Fenton Bar and Grill is the place to go. When you stop by, say hi to the feisty redhead, Kelly. You can ask her for her autograph. She'll give it to you happily. But Casey will be there, and Megan, the whole gang, and have some of those trash wings. The best trash wings in the world are at the Fenton Bar and Grill. Learn more at FentonBarandGrill.com, where you can find them on Facebook. And absolutely, when you go by, tell them Randy sent you to the Fenton Bar and Grill.
Posters up.
Time for Sick of It here on 101 ESPN. And I have discovered something, kids. And as I get towards the back nine of my life, maybe I'm in the back nine of my life. I don't know, probably. But I'll tell you this. I am sick of the cold weather. We've only had 2 days of really cold weather in St. Louis, and I am already sick of it. I just can't abide it at all. I don't understand why I'm here dealing with it. I guess I know because of you guys. I want to be on the radio with you guys, but still.
You could do it remotely.
I need to give that a try because this cold weather, 35 degrees again this morning, I'm sick of it.
Randy, is it because it's impeding on your golfing? But you are golfing.
I am
a lot.
golfing.
You just don't like being outside during this really cold weather.
Right. It's stupid. I don't like having to wear long sleeves all the time. It's just stupid.
Yeah, but this time of year is so fun for sports. You have NFL, college football going, and then you have, of course, everything with baseball
stuff
right
at
now.
Night. I have no problem watching TV at night, but I just want to go outside when it's not cold.
And
You
I have
must
to
have been
bundle up.
freezing yesterday playing golf.
Yesterday was better than the day before, or Tuesday.
You tried to brush it off, and you shouldn't have. You should have just accepted it and said, yeah, it was freezing, it was uncomfortable, and I didn't enjoy it.
Actually, I took off my pullover yesterday and just had a long sleeve polo on. Yesterday there was no wind. It was good.
It was really, I thought it was nice outside.
But
I
when you
enjoyed
wake
it.
up in the morning and you walk outside,
Yeah, it's a
not
little
good.
shocking.
I'm sick of it.
It's jarring. That's why I didn't need my coffee right off the bat this morning, because you just go outside and that wakes you up.
I got some free hot chocolate from our kitchen area in there.
Oh.
So that's how
a good
cold
call.
it was. I'm already on the hot chocolate bandwagon.
All right. So, of course, we talked about this yesterday, and here comes the NCAA of changing things. They don't like to have fun, I guess. So the NCAA closes their 12-man penalty loophole that Oregon used to win over Ohio State. During similar situations in the future, the clock will reset to the amount of time left prior to the play. I am sick of the NCAA just picking their random battles and then turning a blind eye to other situations depending on certain teams. They just continue to show that they're not necessarily needed. That loophole, I didn't see anything wrong with it. I think that it was something that obviously they used to their advantage. Dan Lanning used to his advantage in that situation. I think that there's bigger fish to fry that the NCAA needs to focus on, and they're not. I think they need to look at the injured players. We discussed this yesterday. They really need to look into the use of players being injured. I'm using air quotes here, and how that affects the game.
Here's the thing, Brooke. What conference is Oregon in? Big Ten, right?
Yes.
Well, the SEC knows what's going on. You know why? Because in the SEC, it just means more.
It just means more.
We know what we're doing in the SEC, okay? In the Big Ten, they need guidance from the NCAA.
But Oregon is a big team as well.
They aren't the SEC. It means more. Here.
And I love the SEC, but come on, there's got to be some fairness here. Why focus on this situation when also another big story is the fake injuries that we continue to see in college football?
We are football smarter. We might not in the SEC be book smarter than the Big Ten, but we are football smarter. And you know what the NCAA is going to do? They're just going to say, oh, yeah, it's the SEC. They know that we don't need to try to mess around with them. They know what's going on. But with the Big Ten, I think they feel like the NCAA says they probably need some guidance with the rules because they just aren't as smart as the SEC.
Or is it just because it happened to Ohio State?
Well, that could be. That could be, too. Poor Ohio State.
No, I feel
for him.
so bad for him in that situation.
I do admire Dan Lanning, former SEC assistant, by the way, and from the state of Missouri, finding that loophole and utilizing it. That was a really smart move.
I thought it was a smart move, and I think that that's what you're supposed to do in those situations is just use those tactics to your advantage.
But, I mean, look at Super Bowl 36 and subsequently the holding that Belichick employed against the Rams and the Colts. And that forced the NFL to change the defensive holding rule because he took it to an incredible extreme, knowing that the officials wouldn't call it.
I think the players, to your point, Brooke, being injured in quotes, I think that's got to be addressed.
It does.
That has to be addressed.
Well, maybe they're just tired, Dan.
No,
They
they're
go to
not.
the sideline and they just lay down, take a little nappy.
Even the team that's doing the most in Ole Miss, of course, everybody knows that. I know that there's other teams who are doing it as well, but Ole Miss is the one who is doing it the most, and that's the stuff that we've seen on social media, the videos of it. If you've been watching the games, you've noticed it as well. Lane Kiffin has even pointed it out before, and he's using it as almost a way to kind of throw it in NCAA's face of, okay, well, if your guys are not going to change this, then I'm going to keep doing it.
Yeah.
All right, you ready?
Ready.
This is going to upset some people.
Controversy.
Kirby Smart makes $13 million. Dabo Sweeney, 11, just over 11. Steve Sarkisian, 10.6. Lincoln Riley, $10 million. Ryan Day, $10 million. They're the 5 highest paid college coaches. I'm sick of people complaining about how much they make. They're worth every penny.
Yes.
They're worth every penny for what they bring into recognition of the school. Enrollment goes up. All of a sudden, buildings are going up that normally wouldn't if you were a lesser team. These coaches earn every penny that they're paid.
At a time, Nick Saban was the highest paid, quote-unquote, public servant in America. And the governor of Alabama was asked about it, and he said he's a bargain.
Yep.
Because of what he was bringing in terms of revenue to the university, obviously a state university, and to the state, people attaching themselves to the University of Alabama. So you're right, Dan. These guys are, and Eli's right there. He's making 9 this year, 9.5 next year. And look at where the University of Missouri is in terms of the visibility that they have now as opposed to 3 years ago.
Eli Drinkowitz, by the way, is 11th on that list at $9 million.
Yeah. Didn't you say earlier this season that enrollment has gone up at Mizzou?
Yep.
Oh, it's huge.
Yeah, it has gone up in Mizzou because people want to go to an exciting football school, especially in the SEC. And you have those new stadium renovations coming to Mizzou. Football is always king. That's what's always going to bring a lot of revenue into schools. So you're right. I mean, it's a lot of money. You're talking about sticker shock there when you hear $10 million, but at the same time, it's bringing in a lot to the university and to the area.
Of the 12 highest paid coaches, just take a guess how many are SEC.
Of the 12?
Yeah.
I'm going to go 8.
Close?
9?
7.
7.
Yeah.
Okay. And one other thing here. The University of Missouri has a internationally known J school, right? Mm-hmm. If you're going to complain about how much the people in athletics make, what's the name of the dean of the journalism school at the University of Missouri?
Help me out.
I don't know.
Yeah. Because
people aren't paying attention to that. People are buying tickets and watching football games on TV. They aren't buying tickets to watch a J school and watch a game on TV.
We were doing a Mizzou game and had the president on at halftime, and he said, now he didn't talk about how much Gary Pinkel was making, but he did talk about how important Gary Pinkel is to the entire school. And he said because of football, because of visibility, because we're getting commercials on national television, we're playing in primetime on CBS or ESPN or ABC, it's exposure for the school that we would never, ever have. So I don't begrudge these guys making the money they do, and they're worth every penny of it.
No.
The president of Oklahoma University, George Cross, in the 40s, was asked one time in a hearing for budgeting for the Oklahoma, what kind of football team are we going to have this year? And Dr. Cross said, we want to build a university our football team can be proud of.
That's funny.
A couple of texts. Matthew, what do you got?
I'm saying with no salary cap and floor in Major League Baseball, of course it's going to be the Dodgers and Yankees in the World Series. On the other side, we also have 314 saying, I'm sick of people saying they don't want Dodgers and Yankees World Series. These teams spend a lot of money, are loaded with stars, and are the 2 best teams. It would be awesome. I'm sick of you losers.
If you don't like it, pay better.
So,
well, and here's the thing.
Like some things.
If you're the Yankees, you drafted and developed Aaron Judge, and you were able to trade prospects to get Juan Soto. And trade prospects to get Giancarlo Stanton. If you're the Dodgers, you did buy Shohei Ohtani in free agency. But you also were able to trade prospects, again, to get a guy like Mookie Betts. You developed a guy like Walker Buehler. You developed a guy like Will Smith. You stole and identified a talent like Max Muncy, who was with the A's, and they didn't recognize his talent. Same thing with Kike Hernandez. You picked him up 3 times. He's worked better for you than anybody else. The Dodgers, yes, they spend a lot of money, but do they do a better job of maximizing their talent than anybody else? Yes, they do.
And throw in Tommy Edman. This looks to be a great deal for them. As we talked about, he's leading in most offensive categories for the Dodgers. So you got to make moves. You make the right moves. And again, you can't overlook what it means to sign Betts and sign Freeman and sign Ohtani and have basically a budget that's wide open. That's going to help. But still, developing players is where it's at.
Yeah, you got to pay the right people.
Yes.
You do. And they have all the money. They have all the technology to go get those big free agents. But at the same time, what you just mentioned there, the developing behind the scenes, what the Dodgers and the Yankees have available to their players, no other team has any of that stuff. Even, I don't know if you saw recently, there's a story that the New York Times has about the Yankees and their high-tech pitching robot that they use that has really helped them this season. And the Dodgers, they have a huge facility available for their players that helps them with anything they want. So during the offseason, they don't have to go and hire a pitching coach or a hitting coach. They have everything right there that is part of the Dodgers facility.
And let's keep in mind there's a level of desperation there. We'll talk to Greg Amsinger about this. Dodgers haven't won a full season World Series since 1988. Yankees haven't been to or won a World Series since 2009. So those two big markets with big money are also in desperation mode because they desperately want to win.
I'd still say it's a crapshoot, too. Postseason play, you're going to run into a hot team, or like the Mets got hot. You look at Detroit; they could have won that series. Went to 5 games with Cleveland, so it is a crapshoot. But boy, it betters your chances when you can go out and spend some money like they have.
That's Dan. That's Brooke. That's Matthew. I'm Randy. Coming up, Greg Amsinger, MLB Network on 101 ESPN.
I'm still going for it, even with higher stroke risk from atrial fibrillation, an irregular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem. Over a 3-year study, Eliquis apixaban tablets reduce stroke risk better than warfarin, and over 97% of Eliquis patients did not experience a stroke. A first stroke occurred in 2.9% of warfarin patients versus 2.3% of Eliquis patients.
Don't stop taking prescription Eliquis without asking your doctor. It may increase your stroke risk. Eliquis can cause serious and in rare cases fatal bleeding. Don't take Eliquis if you have an artificial heart valve, abnormal bleeding, or antiphospholipid syndrome. While taking, you may bruise more easily or take longer for bleeding to stop. A spinal injection while on Eliquis increases risk of blood clots, which may cause paralysis, the inability to move. Get medical help right away for unexpected bleeding, unusual bruising, or tingling, numbness, or muscle weakness. Medications such as aspirin products, NSAIDs, SSRIs, SNRIs, and blood thinners may increase bleeding risk. Tell your doctor about all planned medical or dental procedures. Learn more at Eliquis.com or call 1-855-ELIQUIS.
Halloween comes alive at Goodwill. Find everything you need for a unique and fun costume right here. Check out lots of amazing finds from formal wear to vintage clothes and accessories. We have everything you need to bring your look to life. Hurry, Halloween will be here sooner than you think.
Blues Hockey is on 101 ESPN.
Get the
inside scoop on and off the ice with the Last Minute Blues podcast with Alex Ferrario, Jeremy Rutherford, and Donnie Fandango.
Blues opinion, talk, and speculation. It's what we do.
Watch or listen to the Last Minute Blues podcast on our YouTube channel or at 101ESPN.com.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. Last night, the Dodgers rolled over the Mets 8-0 as they take a 2-1 lead in their NLCS. Tonight in the ALCS, it's Yankees-Guardians. Game 3, Yankees going in with a 2-0 lead in that series. That's a 4:08 first pitch, and you also get Game 4 between the Dodgers and the Mets, 7:08 for that first pitch. Right here on 101 ESPN, we have the Blues back in action tonight as they face off against the Islanders, and that game will be 7 p.m. puck drop, which means you can catch the pregame show right here on your home for the St. Louis Blues starting at 6 p.m. That is your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See them at londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
Couple of LCS games are on your way tonight. You've got the Dodgers and the Mets. You also have the Guardians and the Yankees. Brooke, Dan, and Randy, and you can watch all of the coverage of the MLB playoffs and the World Series on MLB Tonight with our town's Greg Amsinger. Greg, a native of St. Louis, a product of the Lindenwood University, and he joins us now on the Celebrity Line here on 101 ESPN. Good morning, sir. How you doing?
It's trending in that direction. Yankees, Dodgers. I don't know. Do you guys feel that? I feel it. I think it's inevitable at this point.
You know what, Greg? And it doesn't always work this way in baseball, but it's going to be the best players. And I mentioned this earlier, and we might be able to cut it down from top 10. But if anybody is going to put a list of their top 10 players in baseball together, you're going to have Judge, you're going to have Soto, you're going to have Ohtani, you're going to have Betts. Some people might throw Freddie Freeman into the mix, and that might be in the top 6 rather than the top 10. So it's trending towards the best players showing up at the time of year that they should show up.
And you're going to have the West Coast, the East Coast caring about this. This is literally what everybody in the commissioner's office have dreamt of for years. Can we get the Dodgers and the Yankees in the World Series? But you're absolutely right. And you're already starting to see how Fox is putting promos of Judge and Ohtani. And I've been saying forever, these are the faces of the sport. And you can hang your hat on both of these guys. They are in their prime at the same time. And for all of us to watch them, I mean, Shohei Ohtani hitting a bomb that looked like it was about to leave Citi Field last night. He's not even pitching yet, which, by the way, I'm still not buying that he won't at some point if they get to the World Series. He does whatever he wants to do, and to have Aaron Judge playing center field, it looks like he's getting better out there every single day he plays center and hitting all the home runs he hits. He's fun to watch. This is just you have to pinch yourself that these two megastars are in their prime at the exact same time.
Yeah, it really has been exciting to watch, especially with those two. If you're the Mets and Guardians, though, what else can they do at this point to try to get some momentum back in their favor, or in their favor at least?
Yeah, it's tough because, Brooke, I mean, Matthew Boyd has been such a reclamation project, and good for him. But, man, tall order tonight. I mean, this is a guy that didn't have a team. And, yeah, he had a couple strikeouts, like 5 strikeouts in a few innings in his last start, but it's all about making sure he misses barrels. And the Yankees just aren't chasing that. That to me, as I try to connect the dots to other organizations that are not in the playoffs, like maybe I'll just focus on the Phillies, right? It's not about swinging this stuff anymore. Yes, you want pitchers who have great velocity and spin the ball, but they have to attack the zone, because when you get to the playoffs, the teams don't chase as much. And if you just go back and look at box scores, other than the Yankees Game 1 win, matter of fact, it was the last win, where both teams had 7 strikeouts. Every single team that strikes out the most loses. So the team that strikes out more than the other, they lose the game. Now, you might be thinking, well, that makes a lot of sense. Not really. When you go to the regular season, you'll see all kinds of weird stats. On a nightly basis, a team that strikes out 15 times, they win 4-1. and the other team strikes out 11 times. But you're not seeing the same level of chase. The Dodgers are such a great example of this. They can recognize a ball 4 inches off the plate out of the hand. And that is what they focus on now more than anything else, because everyone's got great velocity. Everyone's got great spin. It's going to be tough for someone like Matthew Boyd, who can hump up and get it to 95, maybe twice in a start, but he's going to have to come and tunnel in that zone. The Yankees are not going to chase. And that's the biggest difference maker to teams like the Phillies who were bounced in the first round. They chase way too much. And teams that thrive in the postseason can recognize a ball out of the hand. And good luck, Matthew Boyd.
Are people around Major League Baseball shocked at what's going on with the Dodgers, meaning Tyler Glasnow out, Kershaw, Gavin Stone, Dustin May, Tony Gonsolin, Emmett Sheehan, River Ryan, Ohtani's out, as you mentioned. Bobby Miller is unusable. Are people just shocked at what they're able to do right now with their pitching?
Hey, but think about it. Shohei Ohtani was supposed to be a star pitcher. I mean, they knew they signed him when he was injured. He's not around. Clayton Kershaw's first ballot Hall of Famer pitcher of the generation. He's not around. Other guys you name, this is one of the great rotations in baseball that's not healthy to pitch. I mean, it's bananas. I agree with you. Yeah, Dave Roberts has done an incredible job managing, and he confessed to Ken Rosenthal that he believed that he was seriously on the hot seat if they would have lost one more game to the San Diego Padres. After everything he's done in 9 years, winning the division title 8 of those 9 years, having one of the great winning percentages of all time, winning a World Series in 2020, he literally is on the Hall of Fame highway, but he was expecting to get fired if they would have lost the previous round to the San Diego Padres. The expectations are so lofty and high that reality doesn't matter. Any other organization with a manager like Dave Roberts would go, listen, man, we did you dirty with all these injuries. We're not gonna hold it against you if we don't win the World Series. That's not the case. Matter of fact, I still think Dave Roberts and Aaron Boone have a pressure to get to the World Series. And I said this the other night on MLB Tonight, I don't think we'll ever be at this stage of the playoff bracket in Major League Baseball where you have 4 teams left, that we have 2 of the 4 managers that need to get to the World Series to ensure their job is safe. I don't think I'll ever say it again. So the expectations are crazy high. It looks like both guys are going to get there. But Dave Roberts has had his best performance as a big league manager in 2024 to overcome all of these injuries the Dodgers have endured.
MLB Network lead anchor Greg Amsinger with us on 101 ESPN. I'll say, okay, Greg, so we know it's the Guardians, the Yankees, the Dodgers, and the Mets. Quintana will pitch for the Mets tonight. Harrison Bader may or may not be in the lineup, but he will play. For the Dodgers, Tommy Edman and Jack Flaherty. For the Guardians, Lane Thomas. And for the Yankees, Luke Weaver, their closer. Team most impacted by a former Cardinal or Cardinals?
No doubt it's Luke Weaver with the Yankees. The Yankees were a disaster in the back end of their bullpen when Clay Holmes, the wheels fell off that guy. He could not command the baseball, and they didn't have an answer. It wasn't Tommy Kahnle. They didn't have a guy that could figure that out. My friend Dan Plesac was a closer for years, the Brewers, former All-Star reliever for 18 years. A couple nights ago said Luke Weaver right now is the best relief pitcher in Major League Baseball. With that fastball that he commands and that crazy great changeup, he believes he's the greatest. Now, he did give up a home run to Jose Ramirez the other night. Okay, big deal, but it wasn't a safe situation. He still believes it. And I'm like, wait a minute, Emmanuel Clase, he's still around. Cade Smith of the Guardians, still around. Edwin Diaz of the Mets, still around. He's like, at this time of year, who do you trust? And Luke Weaver has saved the Yankee season. And the more I think about it, I remember going off that Luis Gil needs to be put in the bullpen because I don't think the Yankees are going to have anybody they trust in the 9th inning. And as you get closer and closer to the World Series and you see the weaponry that the Los Angeles Dodgers have, the Dodgers have the polar opposite of this. They've got 4 guys they feel comfortable in the 9th inning with. And it's all going to be high leverage. It's what part of the lineup. Blake Treinen's going to face, Ohtani, or he's going to face the top of the order of the Mets, what's called Lindor, Vientos, Nimmo, and Alonso. He's going to face that part of the order, whether that's the 7th inning, the 8th inning, or the 9th inning. Whereas the New York Yankees, they need Luke Weaver in a game that means something to get 6 outs. That's how important Luke Weaver is. So I cannot believe it. I don't know if you guys agree or disagree that of all the failed starters, which is what we call these relievers, right, that could evolve into a dominant ninth inning weapon in postseason play, Luke Weaver would have been at the very bottom of my list.
Mine too.
After watching him pitch for the Cardinals and the Diamondbacks, I thought there was no shot that this could be something that would be in his future. But to see what he has done for the Yankees has transformed them into a World Series favorite now. That's how impactful he's been.
Greg, I don't disagree with you. You need a closer, and he has been great for the Yankees. However, the Dodgers, we talked about the lack of starting pitching that they have. Flaherty was dominant in game one. If he goes tomorrow and pitches the clincher and gives them 6 or 7 good innings, as great as Kike has been, as great as Ohtani has been, recency bias might put Jack Flaherty in the mix for NLCS MVP.
I agree, and I think the last start that he had gave him a Aaron Nola contract. I think that last start gave him $70 million more on top of whatever contract he was looking for in free agency. That's how impactful it was. The entire sport is watching, and this guy has what you're looking for. Now, the velocity isn't what it used to be, but Aaron Nola's velocity isn't what it used to be. His pitchability was on display. I still believe that based on where the Dodgers have so many arms in their bullpen that I know it sounds crazy, but Walker Buehler, I get he got a lot of whiffs last night. He is not anywhere near what he used to be.
No.
He's not. And they were chasing. The Mets chased out of the zone all night last night. It was a really overly aggressive approach to hitting. And what we're starting to find is teams that play at home in front of a loud fan base, they get too amped up and they're chasing more. And that happened last night. And Jack Flaherty's been great. I totally believe that. But Luke Weaver could impact every game. And that, to me, is and it's peace of mind for Aaron Boone. Now he can role play the rest of that bullpen out in leading up to the 8th and the 9th inning, knowing that he's got a guy he trusts. I think it's neck and neck between the two. I don't want to overlook Tommy Edman as well, because I think he's made a huge impact in the bottom of the lineup for Los Angeles Dodgers. And obviously Lane Thomas. I think Lane Thomas needs to be moved up the order. He needs to be batting second in front of Jose Ramirez, if you ask me, for the Guardians. It's a wonderful conversation and a painful conversation at the same time. If you're a Cardinal fan, listening to all of these former Cardinals having such a big impact in postseason play.
Is that Aaron Nola type contract that Jack Flaherty signs? Is it going to be with the Dodgers?
I don't know. That's the key, right? Like, do the Angels keep playing this game? Or are they too far away? They clearly need starting pitching. They got a couple guys that are nice. He wants to stay in California. I mean, I think he's like made that known. California kid. He's going to have a lot of suitors because there aren't many free agent starters out there that you can hang your hat on and build a rotation around. His ability to work counts and command his secondary stuff has really made him a guy that you can believe will age well. And I wouldn't have said that when he was at the St. Louis Cardinals. He was a stuff over pitchability, and he was immensely talented, don't get me wrong. But his fastball that sits around 93 now does not make me get afraid, because it's pinpoint location on the black of both sides of the plate, and all of the secondary stuff is just so well controlled. I think the Aaron Nola deal will be a California team. That's what I'll say. I think he wants to stay in California.
Greg, just watching Shohei Ohtani last night and even during this postseason stretch and everything that he's been able to do, how clutch he's been. I asked the guys this earlier, and I want to get your take on this, but who is the best postseason player that you have ever seen?
Carlos Beltran. Carlos Beltran, what he did with the Houston Astros was unbelievable. And when you look at his entire resume, it's up there amongst the greatest of all time. I know people love Jose Altuve. I feel like Jose Altuve, if you add the number of games he's played in the postseason, it's like 3 full seasons. I mean, obviously he's going to hit a lot of home runs when you play in the playoffs as much as he's played in it. Derek Jeter, same story, played a lot of playoff games, hit home runs, was a terrific player in postseason play. Andy Pettit, people bring up, but I'm sorry. Carlos Beltran And it's so funny, right, that Carlos Beltran's numbers overall in October are historically great when the most famous moment in October play for Carlos Beltran is getting locked up by an Adam Wainwright curveball for the New York Mets. That is what people think of when they think of Carlos Beltran in the playoffs, which is just so sadly ironic. But, oh, my goodness, Google, please. Go on YouTube and watch Carlos Beltran play in the postseason for the Houston Astros. He didn't miss a pitch. If exit velocity was a thing back then, he was hitting 110 off the bat, right side and left side. So for me, watching him dominate the way he dominated, I'm going to go with Carlos Beltran.
Greg, big Monday Night Football matchup between the football Cardinals and the Los Angeles Chargers. Our Gridbirds are going to have their hands full.
I agree. But you know what, man? This Harrison kid, I can't get enough of him. Just target him all night, and the entire Cardinal fan base will be entertained. Win, lose, or draw. If you just throw the ball in his direction maybe 12 to 15 times, I don't care if it leads into a pick six. I just want to see this kid get a chance to go get a ball because he's so fun to watch.
He is, and we need to have him healthy. No doubt about it. Greg, thanks so much for the time. We appreciate it. Have yourself a great Thursday, and we'll be tuned in. Man, you guys are always rocking it on MLB Network, but I know that you really love this time of year.
It's a fun time of year. Not that I'm rooting for anything, but Greggy's worked pretty hard. So if we can just get a World Series in Los Angeles, I can get a hint of a mancation. But a Subway Series, I'm at home the entire time. And now, come on, man, it's like grinding. You stole vacation away from me. And I know it's not about me, but sometimes it is. Okay, sometimes it is.
It always is.
Yeah. I'll see you guys.
Have a great day. See you, brother. Take care. Greg Amsinger, MLB Network, 101 ESPN. Coming up, we've got a quick take it or leave it here on the opening drive.
say something. We'll put it out there. If you like it, you can take it. If you don't, send it right back.
Get your text into 314-399-9646 and give us your take it or leave it.
Brought to you by Gloria Lou Realty. Visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com and start packing.
That's my final offer. Take it or leave it.
Time for TIOLI here on the opening drive. Brooke, Dan, Matthew, and Randy. Guys, I'm not going to ask if Shohei Ohtani is the best player of this century since 2000. But take it or leave it, in terms of overall impact on the sport and the popularity of the sport, Shohei Ohtani is the most impactful player this century.
I will take it. I think that especially what he's able to bring internationally here, the attention that he's brought, I think that he definitely has been so impactful in many different ways for the Dodgers and for baseball.
Yeah, he's a freak. You know, being able to pitch, being able to hit, the fact that he's not from here. To your point, Brooke, he's made it international. And the Dodgers give him $700 million, which puts a spotlight on him, but they're probably going to get that back in endorsements and advertising that they have with him. So, yeah, I think he is the most impactful. I'm trying to think of other players. Can you think of anybody else?
Bonds didn't deliver that level of popularity when he hit all those home runs. Albert wasn't that impactful from what we're talking about in terms of advancing the sport. Jeter wasn't. I think it's Ohtani. I don't even know if it's even close.
Agreed.
Yeah. Okay, take it or leave it, guys. As we mentioned yesterday, Tom Brady, he is joining the Raiders ownership. Take it or leave it. Bill Belichick will be the Raiders' next head coach.
Take it.
I'm going to take it. I think there's going to be something to that. I actually do. I think that they'll at least reach out to him. And with his relationship, clearly, with Bill Belichick, why not? It'd be a short-term thing. See if he can turn it around. Why not?
Although, I don't know if Brady loves him.
I know that in the past that was revealed, that maybe they were not getting along, obviously, from everything we've seen and all the different documentaries. But from what I've read, apparently they have mended things over the recent years.
The question then becomes, does Belichick have a better opportunity with a franchise that has a quarterback?
That's a good question. And if he's on the short term, he's, 72 years old? Yeah, you got to be looking at the best potential spot you can go in and win right away. This is amazing. I follow this guy, and I know him well, Ryan Spader, okay? This is, now just take this out. Take this in, not out. Okay, a player could play for 20 seasons, not miss a single game, and average a hit per game and 35 home runs per season, and finish his career 144 hits and 3 homers shy of Albert Pujols. So my take it or leave it is that we don't give, and you mentioned Albert, I don't think the national narrative or media gives enough attention to the career that he had. Now, that may change when he goes into the Hall of Fame, but right now, they don't give enough attention to just how great he was.
100% take. And I think that the other thing that we have to look at, because there were a lot of questions during the first 10 years of Mike Trout's career, who was better. And I look at the numbers, and I think Albert was better. But there's no doubt now that Albert, who battled through a lot of injuries himself, like Trout is trying to do, did it more successfully. Albert is going to have a significantly better career than Mike Trout had.
And I think by playing with the Angels, they're just not looked at like the Dodgers, and they're playing late night games, so you're not seeing him in prime time or on the East Coast, and they didn't get into postseason play except one time when he was there, and it was a non-factor, so you really didn't see him all that much because he played the late West Coast games, and their team wasn't into postseason play.
It's so shocking to me still just to think about the Angels and the superstars that they have had come through there, and they still weren't able to accomplish what you expected out of them.
Yeah. And here's another thing about Albert, is he was, in terms of quality of play, he was competing against the Cardinal Albert. He had, in his first year in Anaheim, 30 homers and 105 RBIs, 859 OPS. The second year he was hurt, 17 and 64, 28 and 105, 40 and 95, 31 and 119, 23 and 101. He was really good there. He was a really good power hitter, but because he wasn't doing what he did here, it was, he's just a guy. If he had the career that he had in Anaheim, let me give you his Angels career. 758 OPS. He had 222 homers, 783 RBIs in 10 years there. So average 23 homers, 78 RBIs. It's a pretty good career.
The other thing, too, I thought 500 was kind of like, and 600 was like, And I'm like, man, 600 home runs. And I know 500 usually, it used to be, that would get you into the Hall of Fame. 600 definitely now gets you in the Hall of Fame. And he winds up hitting over 700.
Yeah.
And there was more attention made on his last season. And it seems like the 10 years that he was with the Angels.
I think historically he's actually underrated.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
I think he's one of the top 5 players that ever played the game.
I'm with you. Matthew, you got a text or two?
Take it or leave it. Caitlin Clark will be one of the most impactful sports players of this century.
Oh, I'll take it.
I think she already is.
She's changed. She's lifted 2 different leagues, basically. Women's college basketball and now the WNBA.
Yeah, as long as she doesn't get hurt, it takes it to another level, and the TV ratings show that.
Yep.
Congratulations to her, by the way. She was named to the All-WNBA first team officially. She deserves all the credit in the world for that.
Yeah, she was awesome.
Matthew?
Take it or leave it. With all due respect, it looks like Jake Neighbors isn't going to hit the level as he hit last year.
Oh, man, I don't know if I'm going to make that judgment on 4 games.
Yeah, it's a little bit early for that. Now, that was a breakout season for him. Will he be able to do that again? I don't know. What do you think is the real expectation for Jake Neighbors? Is it what we saw last season, or is it a little bit less than that? I think he had, I feel like he could be a 15 to 20 goal scorer.
I had 15 to 20.
Yeah.
I think that's reasonable.
I think so, too.
Yeah.
But he had how many last season? It was around
27.
27.
Yes.
By the way, just to give you a comp, last year in his first 4 games, Neighbors had 1 goal. He had 1 goal and 1 point in his first 4 games, and then he had 1 goal and 1 point in his first 8 games. So I think 4 games might be a little bit early to be judging a player.
Yeah.
And a team.
Yeah.
And the team. I know some fans are a little frustrated with a 2-2 start. In the manner in which the games have been played, they need to get better starts. But we're 4 games in. See how it plays out.
Yep. By the way, after 15 games last year, Neighbors had 2 goals and 1 assist.
Yeah.
No, 2 goals and no assists.
Wow.
2 points.
He went on a tear then.
Yeah. So thank you, Matthew. Thank you very much for your text. We do appreciate them. Coming up, MLB would love to see the Yankees and Dodgers in the World Series. But will that bring baseball back to the national conversation? That's next on 101 ESPN.
Hey everyone, it's Brooke here for Universal Windows Direct. Football season is here and you know what that means. Fall is here too, and with cooler temperatures on the way, I already know it's getting a little bit colder outside. It's time that you make sure that your home is ready to go. If you've been dealing with drafty windows all summer long, struggling on those crazy hot days, your AC working overtime, now is the perfect time to upgrade with Universal Windows Direct before that cold weather really starts to kick in here soon. Their windows feature super spacer technology, which makes the windows perform better, last longer, and help keeps your home more comfortable no matter the season. Plus, Universal Windows Direct backs it all up with a true lifetime warranty as long as you own the home and a 20-year warranty to the next home owner. Schedule your free in-home estimate today, and for every 2 windows you buy, get the next 2 for free. Plus 0% financing for 60 months. That's 5 years. Restrictions apply. Mention my name and get an additional $250 off your next project. So call this number right now. It's 314-334-2522 or go to uwd.com. That's uwd.com. And like me, you'll be saying, I love my windows.
This is literally what everybody in the commissioner's office have dreamt of for years. Can we get the Dodgers and the Yankees in the World Series? But you're absolutely right. And you're already starting to see how Fox is putting promos of Judge and Ohtani. And I've been saying forever, these are the faces of the sport. And you can hang your hat on both these guys. They are in their prime at the same time. And for all of us to watch them, you have to pinch yourself that these two megastars are in their prime at the exact same time.
Greg Amsinger of MLB Network with us last hour here on 101 ESPN. It's 8:08. Time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. Last Friday's Game 5 between the Padres and the Dodgers was the highest-rated divisional series game since 2017 for Major League Baseball. And there's no doubt that MLB has fallen off to the point where they are, at best, the number 3 sport in America. NFL, clearly number 1. I think we can all agree that the NBA has surpassed MLB as the number 2 sport, but I do think that a World Series that includes primarily Judge and Ohtani, but add in Soto and Betts, I think that can bring Major League Baseball back into the conversation. I don't think it's going to draw MLB that quickly back up to what the NBA is, but I look at it this way, guys. If you have this World Series. If it's the Yankees and the Dodgers, it's going to be talked about on First Take on ESPN. It's going to be part of Sports Center. It's going to be at the top of the page in The Athletic. Obviously, we're going to be talking about it all the time. I think it's going to return baseball to the sports conversation in America. And a lot of times, the LCS and the World Series during NFL season, they aren't even part of the national conversation.
Yeah, it can get lost in the shuffle because the NFL will always reign king. But in this situation, no matter how much the TV landscape changes, two things will always get people to tune in, especially for sports: star power and compelling storylines. That will always draw people in. And you're right, viewership has continued to decline for World Series since 2016. You can actually see there's a chart out there for it where since 2016, when the Cubs beat the Guardians for the World Series for the first time since 1908, where their first title since 1908, viewership has really declined. And there's a lot of different factors to that, right? We know, especially in this industry, we talk about it all the time, how much people are cutting the cord, how that impacts things. There's different ways that people either try to tune in, and stream is something that is really starting to take over, streaming, how that works and everything. I just think, though, that if you have the star power, compelling storylines, people will tune in. That Dodgers-Padres series was huge because everybody was talking about it. There was so much drama surrounding it, and you had the star power to go with it.
Mets and Dodgers on Sunday averaged an 8.26 million viewers across the Fox Sports TV networks and streaming. It was the most watched LCS game on any network since 2009. So that obviously was huge to have two big market teams. I go back just to last year, though. Texas, Arizona, worst TV ratings in championship series history. It's pretty simple. You got to have stars and you got to have big markets because I think it's short-lived in the national conversation, and it's a regional sport. It just is. It's not the national sport that it once was, and we'll have the conversation because Judge, Ohtani, Betts, go down the line of some of the great players that you have here, and two historic franchises, but once it's done, it's done. You know, where the NBA keeps going, NFL is constant. You know, it's just constantly talked about. But I do give baseball credit. I gave the numbers on that Sunday, and that's going up against the NFL. You know, so pretty well done by Major League Baseball.
And their sport is better with the rules changes. It's a more watchable sport now than it was. There's more action than there was. I'm with you, and that's why I think it'll be brought back into the national conversation, but I don't think that it'll draw baseball to a level even of the NBA in terms of the national discourse and in terms of TV ratings.
Like last year, you're going to talk about and take a segment and talk about Marcus Semien?
Yeah.
Probably not.
No.
Will you take a segment and talk about Ohtani? Sure. Aaron Judge, 60 home runs. Yeah, let's talk about that. That makes it juicy. That makes it fun.
What else can baseball do at this point to get more people engaged outside of the usual baseball fans?
I think you hit it on the head. I think the rules changes has helped. I think a lot of people want more action, and that's given them a little bit more action, too. I think that's part of it.
And I think the other part of it is checkbook baseball allows the evil empire to compete, and there will be as many people that tune in to watch the Yankees lose as tune in to watch the Yankees win. And I would guess that the Dodgers are the same, that because of the checkbook baseball and the fact that people just don't like highly priced teams, that people will tune in and say, you know what, I'm going to root against the Dodgers today.
Yeah, I know a lot of people hate watch, right?
Yeah, right.
I mean, but still, it gets people to watch.
That's why the Cowboys, every network wants the Cowboys. Joe Buck and ABC/ESPN, they want the Cowboys as much as they can have them. Fox doesn't think that they have them enough. Prime, I think they might have had one. NBC Sunday Night Football, they want the Cowboys. Regardless of how bad the Cowboys are, they know that half the people are going to tune in to watch them win, half the people are going to tune in to watch them lose, but all the people are tuning in.
I think you say the same thing about the Jets this year.
Yeah, right.
They're on prime time, nonstop prime time. Rodgers almost 41. Now he's got the band back together, and was a great storyline. I think they were the first Monday Night Football game this year.
San Francisco.
And they're going to play in prime time again, I think, this weekend. And they've been in prime time on Thursday Night Football. I mean, the draw of Aaron Rodgers is what the networks want. And there's somebody there that makes you want to watch.
And not only do you have them, but you've got another huge national brand, Sunday Night Football. The Steelers, I think, are the opponent for the Jets this week. So you've got the polarizing Jets against the national brand in the steel curtain.
Yeah.
What about marketing their stars more? That's some text that we're getting in
Yep.
currently right now. But what else can they do? Because Aaron Judge, I don't know if he's exactly known for being a big personality. He's a big guy, obviously, but not known as a big personality. Shohei Ohtani, obviously, there's still the language barrier there. And those are the two stars of your league right now.
But you get those people known, and I always go back to all of the commercials that Serena Williams made without ever saying a word. And right now you've got the great New Balance commercial that Shohei does, and he's just swinging the bat, and at the end he says, New Balance, they got next, we got now. That's all he says. And it's easy. And you can make Shohei Ohtani a face of baseball, but a face of your company very successfully. And obviously you can do that with Aaron Judge too.
I thought baseball did it, and maybe it's on the individual too, but I thought baseball did a terrible job with Mike Trout. When he was in his prime, he was putting together numbers that will take him to the Hall of Fame, but he was doing it with incredible numbers, and you never saw him.
Well, but nobody, like you were talking about earlier with
no
the
one
Angels.
knows, I guess.
That's the problem with the Angels.
Yeah.
Is that it just, the Cardinals draw more and have a greater national brand than the Angels do.
That's why they're always on national TV.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. That's Dan, Brooke, Randy, and that's today's Fresh Take. Coming up, we're going to talk some Blues hockey with our buddy Bernie Federko. The Hall of Famer is next on 101 ESPN.
Talking everything St. Louis Blues as we head into the Blues booth on 101 ESPN. Presented by Boardwalk Hardwood Floors. Find your perfect new floor at boardwalkhardwood.com.
Blues and Islanders tonight. You'll hear it here on 101 ESPN with the pregame at 6 o'clock and then the action at 7. Brooke, Dan, and Randy joined on the celebrity line by the Hall of Famer, Bernie Federko. Bernie, good morning. How you doing?
Good morning, Randy. Doing great, thanks.
Hey, I got a question for you. You've played against some great teams. You played against the 70s Canadians. You played against the 80s Oilers. How good were the 80s Islanders?
They were as good as a team that you could ever put together. I mean, I think when you look at what the Montreal Canadiens, that was a dynasty that I don't know if anybody would consider anybody getting close to that. But the Oilers were more of an offensive team that they could score at will. I mean, the goaltending. Fuhr played well, but they were goal scorers. But the Islanders just had it all. They were tough. They were mean. They could score. They could play defense. Their goaltending was solid. So, I would look at that team. I think maybe the dynasties of the Montreal Canadiens, that's a class of itself. But I think other than that, I think the Islanders were, you had Trottier, you had Gillies. They had size. They had Dennis Potvin back there. Billy Smith in goal. So they could do it all. So it was one of those things that, they were very, very difficult to beat every time you played them.
Bernie, you spent a lot of time around the net. Did you ever get your ankle whacked by Billy Smith?
Yes. To be honest, it was ridiculous. You'd go set up behind the net there, and he would actually swing his stick around the net to try to hit you. So, yeah, I've got to know him pretty well after I retired and stuff and doing some events, and he's a great guy. But, boy, I tell you what, when he was in goal, he was crazy. So it was like he didn't know what to expect from him.
Bernie, obviously not a great start to their home opener for the Blues the other day, falling to the Wild 4-1. What did you see in that game? I know that there was a lot of stuff going on, some calls not going their way, different things like that. But what did you see from that performance?
Opening night is always tough. Even after playing 3 games on the road, I think you come home, you want to impress, you want to do some great things in front of the home fans, and I think the hoopla of opening night is always very difficult. So I think they were just getting a little frustrated. I think they have to stay patient. We talked about this last year, is that sometimes you're going to be able to score goals. Other times you're not scoring goals. So when you're not scoring goals, you got to really make sure that you're tight defensively. You can't take any penalties. You got to be careful with all of that kinds of stuff. But I think it was more jitters than anything else. They had some chances. The puck, was just not going their own way, and then they give up a shorthanded goal. And I think that kind of really, really hurt them. With the fact that so many little things, as you just said, just didn't happen right. But I think that this is still, work in progress. I think they're still trying to find the right line combinations. There's 5 new guys on this hockey club, so it makes it a little more difficult to get all on the same page. So I think it's going to take some time, but certainly they can't get frustrated by just one loss like that.
Bernie, who's a player or players that have really caught your attention in a positive way so far to start the year?
Well, I've been really impressed by the speed that Matthew Joseph has. I didn't know what to expect out of him. He was basically a 3rd or 4th line player in Ottawa. We don't get to see the East that often. So I really like the way he plays. The speed that he has. I think that Holloway is the same way. I like the speed that they have. Broberg has been really good to start. He's got size. He's chipping offensively. And this and that. So, with the new guys, I think that this has all been a really positive thing right now. And I think, as I said, Danny, until they get the line set and everybody kind of gets on the same page, I think that there's going to be some mistakes that are going to be made, and maybe they're not going to win some games. But certainly, when you see the new talent and the new speed that they have, I really like what I'm seeing.
What are your impressions of Pavel Buchnevich at center?
Just okay. I think that he's not comfortable there yet. I think when you played wing for the most part in your entire career, or really basically probably his entire life, it's little nuances that you have to change when you go and become a center iceman. The one thing he has to continue to work on is obviously going to be at face-offs. Robert Thomas has been doing such a great job on those, but I think Buch still needs to work on that. I think that there's little things that can happen in a game where if you're always the centerman, you know that you're going to have to do this little thing, and all of a sudden it might come to him a little late. He might be a little late getting back or doing a certain thing. So I think there's going to be those little mistakes. But he's got such great hockey sense that I think that if he stays with it, he's going to be fine with it. It's just a matter of just staying with things.
Nicoletti looks like he is questionable for the game today as he's dealing with a lower body injury. We saw in the game where he was moved down and you had Suter elevated to that top pairing with Colton Parayko. What do you think about Suter and Parayko together?
Well, I think that Brian Suter can play with anybody. I mean, obviously, he's almost 40 years old. He's been, what did they say, 1,450 games almost, or whatever it is. So, I mean, he's a guy that can play with anybody. I mean, he's solid. He's certainly experienced. So whatever is going to happen with him, I mean, I think that he was a great insurance policy for Army to bring in, because he can play in the right side, the left side, whatever they need him to do. So I think he'll be fine. And Letty, didn't have the greatest game the other night, and I think there's been a lot of talk about that. There's another guy that's very experienced, and it's 4 games into the season, and I don't think there's any reason for anybody to panic, because the defensive core will be solid enough, and they're just going to continue to have to go through the ups and downs until they get more solid, I guess, to say the least.
Bernie, there was so much attention with Broberg and Holloway signing those offer sheets and coming to St. Louis. So what have you thought about those guys and just the way they performed so far?
Well, it's just such a small sample size, Danny. But with Broberg, I think he's done a great job. I mean, playing on the pairing with Falk, I think they've done a really, really good job together. I mean, I don't think anybody knew what the offensive statistics of Broberg were going to be. I mean, he's only played 80-some games in his career in the NHL, and his offense has not really been great by any means. But he's got 4 points in the 4 games that he's played right now. I think that Falk being healthy, I think that's really going to be a good pairing for the two of them. So I mean, I think he's been as billed. Holloway, I think, is in a situation where he's going to probably move up and down the ladder there to find him the right spot on the right line. I think everybody knows he's got great speed, and I think the question mark with him is going to be how much offense can he create? I mean, in college he was a pretty big scorer. I mean, he's been okay in the American League. Has not done a lot at the NHL level because he's not played that much, but I think he's in the same situation. When he finds that spot, is he going to be a second-line player, a first-line player, a third-line player, whatever he's going to be? When they find that, I think that we'll probably get a better judgment of what he's going to be all about.
The Hall of Famer, Bernie Federko. Thanks so much for your time, Bernie, and we will be tuned in tonight for the Blues and the Islanders. And, of course, you've got pre- and intermission and post, and we'll be watching you tonight. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Glad to be back at it. You guys have a great day.
You too. Thank you. See you later. That's the Hall of Famer, Bernie Federko, on 101 ESPN. Hall of Fame player and Hall of Fame human being. Really one of the nicest people that you could ever meet.
He's
Absolutely.
so nice. Super helpful. Always kind. Always happy.
He's great. Coming up on 101 ESPN, Matthew, do we need a fighter?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Of
we do.
course.
Okay, we need a fighter.
You remember Randy.
314-399-9646. 314-399. Yo-ho!
Always playing coy about that.
You in freaking Mexico City. Yeah, we need a fighter.
So dumb.
He was, okay, so a little behind the curtain. The only time I really get upset with questions is when there's a gotcha question. Matthew admits to me yesterday, man, I thought I gotcha.
That was not a gotcha question.
No, it wasn't. It was a great question.
It's just that when I write questions that are outside the 4 major sports, my thought process is, okay, there's no factual way he's going to get me. This isn't worded weird. He cannot complain about this question, and it's outside the 4 major sports. This is a good one, and yet you breezed through it. You toyed with your food even on it. It was mean.
Sorry. Text in your name and the word fight, and maybe Matthew will pick you to fight me next on the opening drive on 101 ESPN.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. Last night in the NLCS, the Dodgers with a big 8-0 win over the New York Mets as they take a 2-1 lead in the NLCS. You can see Game 4 tonight, 7:08 first pitch between those two teams. The first game on your Major League Baseball docket, though, will be Game 3 of the ALCS. Yankees currently have a 2-0 lead, and that will get started with a 4:08 first pitch. Your St. Louis Blues are back in action tonight as they face off against the Islanders. You can catch the game right here on your home for the St. Louis Blues, 101 ESPN and 101ESPN.com. 7 o'clock is your puck drop, 6 o'clock is your pregame. That is your Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, an independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
Welcome to the fight. In the red corner, Average Joe Listener. And in the blue corner, the undisputed king of morning drive. Please welcome Randy Carricker.
Welcome back to the opening drive. Brooke, Dan, Brandy, and Rocco here, and it is time for the fight. Our fighter this morning is Ben. Ben, how are you doing? Ben? Ben?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Oh, now I can hear you. Oh, we just lost you for a second there. How are you doing?
Doing great. How are you all?
Oh, we're doing great. Is this your first time facing Randy in the fight?
First time, long time listener, first time on the fight.
Well, I'm sure you've been facing him in the car, though, right?
Yeah, and I don't fare too well.
Oh, well, today could change, though. We'll see how this goes for you. Okay, you ready for question number 1, Ben?
Sounds good. Let's go.
Okay, happy birthday to Super Joe McEwing. Which team did the Cardinals trade him to during spring training in 2000? Is it the Mets, the Diamondbacks, or the Indians?
It's the Mets.
Did you say the Mets there, Ben?
Yes, I did. Final answer.
Okay.
All right, thank you. In 1982, the football St. Louis Cardinals made the playoffs for the third and final time in their history in St. Louis. Who did they fall to in the wild card round of the playoffs that year? Was it the Packers, the 49ers, or the Vikings?
Let's say Vikings.
Final answer?
Final answer.
On to question 3 we go.
Who won the 1985 World Series MVP following the Royals' win over the Cardinals? Is it George Brett, Frank White, or Brett Saberhagen?
Let's say Saberhagen. Final answer.
Last night, Crosby and Malkin became the second pair of teammates to score 500 goals apiece, joining Wayne Gretzky and which one of his teammates? Was it Mark Messier, Yari Curry, or Luc Robitaille?
Thinking either Messi or Curry, but let's go with Messier.
All right, let me go grab Randall.
How are you feeling, Ben?
Okay.
Just
Feeling
okay? Yeah, you seemed pretty confident, though, in the answer, so that's always good.
Yeah, no reason to beat around the bush. Just get something and go with it.
All right, here comes Randy in right now. Grapes in hand this week.
Oh, boy.
I don't think you've missed a day of grapes this week, Randy. And he has propelled today. Sorry, you have a mouthful of grapes, so I shouldn't be asking you a question just right this second. I'll let you chew your food a little bit.
When we were at the Rawlings Experience on Tuesday, I didn't have grapes, I don't think.
Yeah, I know.
You had grapes and I didn't. I had bagels.
I even offered you some grapes.
You did?
Yeah.
And I
politely declined.
Yeah.
Say hi to Ben, Randy.
Ben, how you doing?
Doing great, Randy. How are you?
Doing well. Thanks for listening. Thanks for playing. We do appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Ready for question number 1?
Ready.
Happy birthday to Super Joe McEwing. Which team did the Cardinals trade him to during spring training in 2000?
I'm going to go with the New York Mets, Brooke. I'm going to go with the Mets that he went to.
You didn't hedge on that at all.
No. Conviction.
Gotta have it. You ready for question 2?
I am.
In 1982, the football St. Louis Cardinals made the playoffs for the third and final time in their history in St. Louis. Who did they fall to in the wild card round of the playoffs that year?
Well, before they fell to said team, as they were flying into the city that they were playing in, their plane fell off the runway.
Icy cold.
Icy cold, frozen tundra.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they lost to the Green Bay Packers. Not the finest coaching day ever for Coach Hannafin. Yeah, lost to the Green Bay Packers.
On to question 3.
Should have made the playoffs in '84, by the way, if it weren't for Pat Millette. Back judge against the Cowboys. Terrible call. I'm over it, though.
Not thinking about it
40 years
whatsoever.
ago. I'm over it.
Yeah, it's completely off your
We're
mind.
coming up on the anniversary of that debacle. You got debacled.
You ready for 3?
I'm ready.
Okay. Who won the 1985 World Series MVP following the Royals' win over the Cardinals?
I am going to go with Brett Saberhagen of the Kansas City Royals. Brett Saberhagen, 21-year-old right-hander.
Could have gone with George Brett. Could have gone with Frank White. Dane Orge had the big hit in Game 6.
He did.
I don't want to talk about it anymore.
I'm over it.
So I'm moving to 4.
Yeah, Don Deckinger should have won it, but I'm going to go with Brett Saberhagen.
Last night, Crosby and Malkin became the second pair of teammates to score 500 goals apiece, joining Wayne Gretzky and which one of his teammates?
500 goals for teammates. Only one of his teammates? Only one of Gretzky's teammates had a 500?
While they were teammates.
Okay.
So scoring the 500 goals while they were both on the roster on the same team for 500 goals.
Well, then I'm going to go with Yari Curry. I'm going to go with Curry over Messier in this question. Yari Curry over Mark Messier.
Yari with a J.
Yes. And Curry with a K.
Matthew.
All right. We have a winner in today's fight. As Ben was taking on Randy Carricker, does he walk away with a win, forcing a round 2 on Friday, or is it another win for Megamind? Ring that bell.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy! The winner and still champion of the fight, Randy Carricker.
Just win, baby. I'm sorry about that one, Ben. Randy Carricker got you by a score of 4-2 in today's fight.
That's okay. I knew he was going to get me on that football question. I had no chance there.
Yeah, sorry about that one. Let's go through the questions and answers. Happy birthday to Super Joe McEwing. Which team did the Cardinals trade him to during spring training in 2000? They traded him to the Mets, and apparently TLR liked him so much that I read he kept one of his pairs of cleats because he was such a big fan of Super Joe McEwing. Also, another one of Joe McEwing's nicknames, Little Unit, because he had such a good record against Randy Johnson, despite not being a big-name player. In 1982, the St. Louis Cardinals made the playoffs for the third and final time in their history in St. Louis. Who did they fall to in the wild card round of the playoffs that year? It was, in fact, the Packers. Randy, off the top of your head, can you name the 3 teams that knocked out the St. Louis Cardinals in their playoff visits?
Vikings, Rams, Packers.
There it is. Who won the 1985 World Series MVP following the Royals win over the Cardinals? It was, in fact, Brett Saberhagen, who had 2 wins in his 2 starts. George Brett had the lead in RBI for the Royals. Frank White had the big home run for the Royals, but it was Brett Saberhagen. By the way, I've never realized this. Did Brett Saberhagen have like the greatest first 6 years of a pitcher career in Major League Baseball history? He wins 2 Cy Youngs, a World Series MVP, all before he turns 26.
Yeah, pretty good.
He has 2 20-win seasons, and he wins 4 double-digit. He has 5 double-digit win seasons out of 6 seasons. I mean, that's an insane start to a career.
That's great.
I mean, I never realized how good Brett Saberhagen was. My God! And last night, Crosby and Malkin became the second pair of teammates to score 500 goals apiece while they were teammates, joining Wayne Gretzky and Yari Curry. So we hit the jack there for Randy Carricker in a 4-2 win. Thanks again, Ben, for joining the fight and joining the show.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Ben. Appreciate you joining us here on 101 ESPN. Coming up, it has been 25 years since the St. Louis Rams won Super Bowl 34. And every week we're interviewing a member of that team. And this week it's defensive end Grant Wistrom, who will be our guest next on 101 ESPN.
St. Louis.
Fires up the middle. The pass is caught to Isaac McDivitt, and he's gone.
And the gateway to the West became
The gateway to the best football team in the world.
from the lowest lows
Green went down hard and is not getting up.
to the highest highs.
Mike Jones made the tackle, and the Rams have won the Super Bowl.
And every unbelievable moment in between.
Touchdown. Ricky Prohl in the corner.
Every piece of the 99 season felt like a story. And today, we continue the legend of the greatest show on turf.
Welcome back to the opening drive on 101 ESPN as we look back at 25 years since the St. Louis Rams won the Super Bowl with the greatest show on turf and one of the best defenses in the National Football League. And we get an opportunity to visit with one of the key members of that defense, Grant Wistrom. Grant, it's great to have you with us. Great to hear your voice. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Randy. It's good to see you, man.
Yeah, we had some fun those years doing the radio show, and man, you were out and about. You really did ingratiate yourself in the St. Louis community, didn't you?
I did. You know, just being from Missouri, having an opportunity to play for a Missouri football team, you know, it was an awesome fit. And, you know, when I first got drafted to St. Louis, I was, to be honest, pretty bummed out about it, going to, you know, a team that historically hadn't been dominant in the NFL, and also just being a young person, I was really hoping to get out of the state of Missouri, but you know, God knows what we need, and you know, thank goodness the Rams decided they needed me, and it couldn't have worked out any better.
So in 1998, you're coming off a stretch where your teams went 49-2 while you were at Nebraska, and you won 3 championships. How many games, Grant? Do you remember how many games you lost in high school?
I lost 2 in high school. So from my junior year of high school to my from the third game of my junior year of high school to the the second game of my junior year of college, I didn't lose. So at one point, I'd won 50 straight football games.
Incredible. So you come to St. Louis, and you lose 3 of your first 4. So in your first 4 weeks in the NFL, you lost more than in 4 years in college. And I think in your first 5 weeks in the NFL, you had lost as many as you had through your high school and college years. What was that like from a culture shock standpoint?
It sucked. You know, I mean, you go from, you know, you expect to win every Friday or Saturday night to, well, you just don't know what's going to happen on Sunday. And, you know, for people that play at that level, I mean, we're all competitors, we're all winners. And to not win does not suit well, you know, especially when you're a first-round draft pick. And to be quite honest, my rookie year, I wasn't a great professional. I didn't earn the money that was put out there. So, you know, crap rolls downhill. And when you're the first-round draft pick and you're starting out and you're not doing really well, a lot of that crap just lands right at your doorstep.
How much, though, do you put on yourself? I shouldn't ask that because you always do. You're really an accountable guy. But you didn't start any games. You played in 13 games. And it seemed like Coach Vermeil and the staff just wanted to get you acclimated and developed. You wanted to play. You wanted to contribute. But it doesn't seem like they allowed you to.
Yeah, and I hold no grudge against them for that. You know, quite honestly, Mike Jones was a better player than me. You know, the defensive end Mike Jones that we had at the time was better than me. And so, you know, their jobs were on the line, too. They wanted to win every Sunday. They probably didn't feel that I was responsible enough to be put out on the field then. So, you know, we had some great coaches. So if they thought I wasn't ready, they had their reasons.
So you get through your rookie year, and during the offseason before your second year, the team goes out and they get Trent Green for the offense, and they get Marshall Faulk for the offense, and they get Adam Timmerman from the offense and Torrey Holt. And every one of those offensive players that came in said, hey, I wanted to be part of the team because that defense was so good. Did you see it coming? Did you see what happened in 1999 by any stretch of your imagination happening?
No, especially going to the offseason. You know, you have your hopes, you know, and you get Trent and you get Marshall. You know, obviously Torrey's a great college football player. You know, I knew firsthand that doesn't always translate to first year, you know, success on the field your first year. But all 3 of those guys are just consummate professionals. and came in right away with the attitude that, you know, we're gonna right this ship, you know, and you know, thank goodness that they did, and just that, you know, Coach Vermeil had spent, and I think he inherited when he took the team over, you know, a lot of guys that didn't want to be part of a winning culture, to pay the price that it takes to be part of a winning culture. So, you know, talking to him after the fact, you know, a large part of his plan was weeding out the guys that didn't want it. And, you know, and then you bring in those three guys that with the attitude that they do want it. You know, it was just a recipe for success.
And you guys had a good preseason, good training camp. When did you start to believe that the team could be pretty good?
You know, a lot of the wind was taken out of our sails when Trent went down. So there was still a big unknown. You know, we knew what Kurt did to us the whole year before, and, you know, running the scout team and just picking our defense apart every day. But, you know, running plays off a card doesn't always translate to being able to run an offense when live bullets are, you know, flying at you. So, you know, at least me personally, when Trent went down, you know, it was like, oh, man, here we go again. And just keeping your fingers crossed that Kurt's the guy, you know, that he's been showing you for the last year. And just, I mean, when he took the field, and it was just lights out. And when he started getting to throw, you know, the first team receivers and using all the toys and having Mike Martz pulling the strings, you know, it was a lot of fun to watch those guys work.
And granted, it's funny to hear Coach Vermeil talk about how he would come off the field after those practices in '98 and say, either that quarterback is pretty good or our defense isn't very good. And he said, I think the quarterback is pretty good. But it showed a lot, and you got to know and had a great relationship with Coach Vermeil. But for him to stick with Kurt Warner when Trent went down, too, and not to go get Jeff Hostetler or somebody like that, I think that said a lot about Coach Vermeil. What were you guys thinking in the room?
You know, we loved Kurt and wanted to see, you know, what he could do for us. You know, I don't think anybody would have been real excited about bringing in a guy that was past his prime. You know, really, you know, Joe was a great, you know, NFL quarterback, but, you know, obviously not a Hall of Fame quarterback that Kurt turned out to be. So, you know, I think it speaks volumes to Coach Vermeil's eye for talent, you know, Charlie Army's eye for talent, and, you know, Coach Ramsdale being able to develop Kurt help develop Kurt into an all-pro quarterback.
So we go through the first four games. The Rams start 4-0, and 25 years ago today, the Rams go to Atlanta and beat the Falcons 41-13 to improve to 5-0. And as part of the onslaught in that game, Grant Wistrom has a 91-yard interception return for a touchdown. You have to remember that play. Tell me about it.
Oh, yeah. I make sure my kids watch it at least once a week. It's kind of cool. Every now and then it'll pop up on my Twitter feed, and I never hesitate to repost it. But, man, you know, if memory serves correct, I just got my ass blocked off on the line of scrimmage. I had zero pass rush, and the ball got batted up. And, you know, thankfully it was just a competition between me and Ray Agnew about who could jump higher to get it. And I was pretty confident in my skill set in that. I could out-jump Ray. But then after that, man, I was just trying to turn the corner and run as fast as I could. And, you know, I'm going to brag on myself a little bit. You know, I know Mike Jones threw that block to take out the wide receiver that was chasing me, but I'm pretty sure he wasn't going to catch me. But man, it was awesome. And the commentators and the TV guys did me right afterwards. They showed me walking down the sideline. It looked like I wasn't having a hard time breathing. But I promise you, as soon as I got to the corner of the bench with the oxygen tank, I had that thing strapped on my face.
And that's got to be a point of when you have the conversations with the other defensive linemen, that's a check mark in your column, because DeFar didn't have that, Kevin Carter didn't have that, Ray didn't have that, Grant Wistrom was the only one that had that.
That's right. And I think, as far as I know, I still might have the return record for interception for a D lineman. I don't know. Maybe somebody else has beat it, but I don't see too many D linemen going 91 yards with a pick.
No, I don't either. You have wheels. Do you still have wheels, by the way?
No. I tried. My daughter is a pretty darn good athlete. My wife's a good athlete. And if it's within 20 yards, they're blowing the doors off of me. You know, getting close to 50. Sprinting, every time I try to go sprint now, I pull a hamstring. So I cannot run like that anymore.
Grant, I know the feeling well. So another thing about that game, you guys score 41 points. Isaac scores on a touchdown catch. Marshall scores on a touchdown run. Tony Horn scores on a 101-yard kickoff return. You have your return, and then late Robert Holcomb had a rushing touchdown. It seemed to kind of embody that team because everybody wound up being a hero at some point. Every position group, every facet of the game, offense, defense, special teams, it just seemed like it was that way all year long to me. What about to you?
Yeah, I do feel that offense is so dang talented. I think they were probably, they're the more dominant side of the football. So it was always fun getting to watch those guys play. And, let's be quite honest, when you're up by 21 at the end of the first quarter, it makes it really, really easy to play defense. So I know we had a good defense, but I do think the strength of our offense made our defense even that much better.
That being said, and I guess part of this is you being in front all the time, but you didn't allow a 100-yard rusher all year long, and you finished fourth in scoring defense, sixth in defense overall. And regardless of when it happens, you have to be pretty good to put up those kind of numbers.
You do, but I'll still go back to when you're up by 21 in the first quarter. Teams become one-dimensional when you're playing them. There's not a lot of running the ball then. So, I do think that played into it. I know we had a lot of talent on defense, man, but they sure made it easy to play defense.
And I remember that you and Kevin would always talk about, even individually, you guys had the plan to meet at the quarterback, right? Well, especially once you got the lead.
Yep. Yeah, much quicker than I did, but I was always trying.
Hey, Grant, what was the most impressive part of that defense for you? You mentioned maybe even physically you overachieved a little bit, but what impressed you most, especially looking back at it?
I think, how we played together. I think a lot of teams get in trouble or players get in trouble when they try to do too much. I feel like we all trusted each other out there. We believed in each other, and we played for each other. In that team, as much as any other team that I've been a part of, we were together off the field as much as we were on the field. I mean, we did everything together. And I think when you have a team that gets along that well off the field, they're going to take that and play for each other on the field. And that's what football is about. I mean, sometimes you can feel sorry for yourself. Hey, I'm tired. It's fourth quarter. I'm going to not go so hard on this play. But if you love the man you're playing next to, if I take the play off, I'm going to let him down. So when you have that accountability and that love and respect and care for each other, it just amplifies what the product that you put out there on.
So with that being said, if you look back and you guys had such a good time on the practice field and in the locker room and on flights and on bus rides to the stadium and in games, do you have a moment from that season, whether it's one of those or during a game or during the postseason, does something stand out in your mind's eye that you say, man, that just captured the essence of that season for me?
Honestly, it would just be, for me, the times off the field when we would be at Harpo's and half the team would be in there on a Sunday night after a game, just hanging out, Those are the memories that I carry with me, the friendships that I made, the bonds that I formed. That's what resides within me. There's not really, I can't think of one particular thing, but just the chemistry that we had, the unity that we had. I don't think you find that in a lot of NFL locker rooms.
Mm-hmm. One thing, Grant, that I've been asking everybody that I've talked to is, do you have a favorite photo from the 1999 season, whether it's hanging in your office or on your phone or in your computer? Do you have one that you really enjoy a lot?
Actually, yeah, I've got a couple. One is after we were out in San Francisco and we swept the 49ers for the first time in I don't know how many years. It's a picture of Coach Vermeil and I, and I've got another one, and I think it's me, Coach Vermeil and I, as well as like my Facebook profile picture, whatever. It just him giving me a hug, and just because he means so much to me, he still does to this day, and we still communicate. And he's a guy that 100% he cares about you more as a person than as a player, and just feels so honored that I got to play for him for the amount of time that I did.
Grant Wistrom has spent most of his life in Missouri, in either St. Louis with the Rams or in Southwest Missouri, in Springfield or in Webb City. But you tell me you're ready to pick up stakes and move back to Lincoln, Nebraska.
Yeah, we're headed up there at the end of the year. Our daughter is a high schooler right now. She's going to graduate in December and enroll at the University of Nebraska. to play soccer. So I get to go back up to our stomping grounds. We're going to follow her up there for 4 or 5 years and just enjoy our time with her and watch her play as many soccer games as we can.
That's awesome. Hey, Grant, I got to ask you one other thing, and this is not about 99. It's about 01. I remember talking to you, and I've told this story before, about after you guys fell in the Super Bowl, and you go 14-2, you get to the Super Bowl, and you wind up losing on that last-second field goal to Vinatieri. With all the water now that has passed under the bridge, you told me right after that game, you said this season was a waste. How do you feel about that now?
Being older now and stepping back and, it's appreciating the process and what you take from it. I was probably a little bit nearsighted when I made that comment. Clearly, there are lessons to be learned in anything. But in that moment after the game when it's, and that had been the most devastating thing that had happened to me in my young life, not winning that game after all the hard work that we put in. So, I understand why I said it then, but I would probably have a different answer to that question, in hindsight. But still, it stings, man. It really, really stings, and I still have not gone back and never watched that football game.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you one bit. Grant Wistrom, it is so great to hear your voice. We so appreciate your time, and we miss you here in St. Louis. Hopefully, at some point, you'll make your way back. I think we're going to have a 25th year anniversary early next year, so hopefully we'll be able to connect. But I really appreciate connecting with you here on this.
Anytime, Randy. Thank you so much for having me on, man.
Grant Wistrom, our 25-year celebration of the greatest show on turf and Super Bowl 34. Isn't it amazing as we listen to all of these how great the people that Dick Vermeil collected are?
Oh, my word. Yes. You can see the impact of how he's really just helped those players and just what a spectacular group of players, especially what he said there towards the end. We were talking about this the other day. I guess time does heal all wounds and some of those bad memories.
Yeah, I don't think for some as much as others.
Yeah.
I don't think
some will always hang on to it. Yeah.
Coming up, the Rush Hour Reset on 101 ESPN.
Everywhere you look, things are getting more expensive. So at Consumer Cellular, we're lowering the price for those 50 and up. Now you can get unlimited talk, text, and data for $30 a line when you buy 2. That's just $60 a month for 2 unlimited lines. So if you're 50 and up, make the switch and save. Come on, you've earned this. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com today. Requires 2 lines of service, age validation, and credit approval, subject to system and area limits, taxes, and other fees apply.
Get in zone, AutoZone. Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? I think my battery's dead. With free battery testing and charging, we can help you get back on the road. Get in zone, AutoZone. So what if I need a new one? We have the right Duralast battery for you, only at AutoZone. Get in zone, AutoZone. And what about my old battery? We can recycle it right here at America's #1 battery destination. Get in zone, AutoZone. Restrictions apply.
Hear every St. Louis Blues game right here. WXOS HD1 East St. Louis, 101 ESPN. Recapping the biggest stories of the day on the opening drive with a Rush Hour Reset.
Brought to you by James Carlton State Farm. Are your car and home insurance rates competitive?
Find out at carltoninsurance.net.
If you weren't watching last night, the Dodgers blanked the Mets 8-0 to take a 2-1 lead in the best-of-7 National League Championship Series. And game number 4 of that series is tonight at Citi Field in New York. The Dodgers will pitch Yoshi Yamamoto. He'll be opposed by the former Cardinal, Jose Quintana. And that game will be played at 7 o'clock St. Louis time. The early game tonight, the Yankees at Cleveland. Yankees lead that series 2-0. The Yankees will pitch Clark Schmidt. He'll be opposed by Matthew Boyd as the Yankees try to take even a more commanding 3-0 lead in their series. And heck, by tomorrow, we could have our World Series matchup settled.
We really could. I mean, it feels like the Yankees and Dodgers have all the momentum right now, especially looking at that game last night between the Dodgers and Mets. I mean, they just completely overpowered them. I was really surprised by the Mets. I understand that it was the last game, the last time they face each other. It was a bullpen game for the Dodgers, but for the Mets to just come out, and it really looked like they had no response for this Dodgers team. It looks like everything is aligning, which is what Major League Baseball probably really wants, where you have the Yankees and Dodgers in the World Series together.
I like the Mets tonight. I'm going with the Mets. Yamamoto in the game against San Diego. It was Game 5. Did give them 4 or 5 innings, but there are a lot of hard-hit balls that found fielders and wasn't dominant by any means. So he'll go tonight, as you mentioned. And Jose Quintana has kind of turned into a big-game pitcher.
Yes.
It's crazy, but no earned runs in 4 of his 6 career playoff starts, and he comes in hot. He's given up just 1 earned run or less in 7 of his last 8 starts. So I don't know. I think I'm going with the Mets. I'm going to pull a little upset tonight, and we'll see when we come in tomorrow, and I'm wrong.
Well, I'm sure you will be. Shohei Ohtani with a 3-run homer. Kike Hernandez hit another one. You know what's interesting about the Dodgers, and this is how good they are and how deep their lineup is. Even though it doesn't appear to be deep, their 2 300 hitters in the playoffs are Tommy Edman and Hernandez, and they're both hitting 8th and 9th. But Mookie Betts has just kind of been a guy so far in this series. Hadn't done really anything.
Freddie Freeman.
Yeah, and there they are up in the series, and it's Ohtani, it's Hernandez. There's other people that are capable of being the hero for the Dodgers.
It's amazing. The stat that I gave earlier about Ohtani is one of the differences in this postseason and in the series with the Mets, but 17 hits in his last 20 at-bats with a runner in scoring position. And when the bases are empty, he's 0 for his last 22. So he's doing damage at the right time. And, you know, the Dodgers, to their credit, the biggest question mark was their pitching, but they got 4 shutout innings or 4 shutouts in their past 5 games, which I'm sure surprises a lot of people. It surprises me, but they're finding a way, and Ohtani's one of the reasons why.
Meanwhile, the Blues are back in action tonight. They take on the New York Islanders at Enterprise Center. That's a 6 o'clock pregame here on 101 ESPN with the action with Chris Kerber and Joe Vitale at 7 o'clock. And the Blues, after a less than inspiring opener, they lose the game by a score of 4-1, home opener to the Minnesota Wild. They need to start dominating at home. I know it's only one game, but one of the things that Doug Armstrong always talks about is being dominant at home, and the Blues need to do that against a team like the Islanders.
You definitely don't want to see how they started things out with their home opener and that way that they lost to the Wild. There's a lot of different things that happened in the game. We could talk about the calls. We can have that conversation about things not going their way, but still you have to find a way to respond. I just wonder still if this team is working on line chemistry, especially when you're looking at their top 6 forwards with all these new faces coming in.
Saad, Thomas, Cairo would be your number 1 line tonight. Bolduc, Booch, and Neighbors, your second line. I think they got to find a way to get Thomas going offensively. I mean, that's something that's really important for this team. You know, you can line combination all you want, but they need to get, he is the centerpiece, so to speak, lack of a better term. He's the centerpiece of what goes on with this team.
And don't you kind of think when we talk to him, He feels we asked him who he'd like to sit on a plane with for 4.5 hours. He said Booch. Who do you know where they're going to be all the time? Booch. It seems like the guy that Thomas is most comfortable playing with is Buchnevich on his wing.
And I bet if he asked Buchnevich, where are you most comfortable, he's going to say wing.
Yeah.
And they paid him a ton of money, and he's going to do what they ask him to do. But that top line, when you add Buchnevich, to me, looks like a different line.
Yeah, especially when you're trying to generate scoring or even scoring chances. That's what you want to see. I think it feels like right now, because they just haven't found that clear answer yet for that second line center, that Booch is kind of almost like a little Band-Aid to hold them over a little bit until they can figure it out.
Seems like that is the case. Football tonight, Broncos at New Orleans, and that game is on Prime at 7:15 St. Louis time. Speaking of football, Battlehawks season tickets are available now, and we're going to talk to UFL Vice President and Fox broadcaster Moose Johnston about the Battlehawks and the NFL next on 101 ESPN.
Price just went up on car insurance? Check us out at carltoninsurance.net.
Thinking of buying a new home? Think TR Hughes. TR Hughes Homes has great prices on beautiful new homes at 4 desirable locations. Charlestown Landing in North St. Charles, convenient to Highway 370. The Grove at Riverdale and St. Paul with standard 4-car garages, just 10 minutes from the St. Peter's Dearborns. Arbor Valley and Wentzville on Highway N with minimum half-acre wooded lots. And our newest community, Elkhorn Ridge in Truesdale, just west of Wright City, minutes from Highway 70. Come and see why TR Hughes is St. Charles and now Warren County's premier home builder. trhughes.com.
It's the best time of the year. It's football season, and it's the best day of the year. It's Thursday, which means the NFL week is starting up again with Thursday Night Football, which means we're putting in an entry with our friends at Underdog Fantasy, just like a million fans across 33 states who got in the game last year by picking higher or lower on their favorite player stats. We're going to build an entry for tonight's Thursday Night Football game. I'm going to go Bo Nix, higher than 193.5 passing yards. The only time he's gone less than 200 since he became a starter was against the Jets. They're a much better defense than the Saints are. Plus, Sean Payton back facing off against the Saints. He's going to want his quarterback to look good, so we're going to take Bo Nix higher than 193.5 passing yards. We're going to go Alvin Kamara higher than 5.5 rushing and receiving first downs, because how else are the Saints going to get first downs without Chris Olave? It's going to be Alvin Kamara, who's getting a heavy dose from the Saints tonight, so we're going to go again. Bo Nix higher on passing yards and Alvin Kamara higher on rushing and receiving first downs. Making pick on Underdog is straightforward, and signing up is even easier. You can just head over to Underdog's simple-to-use mobile app. That's what I use. Or at UnderdogFantasy.com. Sign up with the promo code ROCC. And Underdog is going to give you a free pick to use in your first Cash Champions entry. You can add it to the one we just built. Plus, they're going to match up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you deposit. That's Underdog Fantasy, promo code ROCC to claim your new customer special of a free pick and your deposit offer. Must be 18 plus and present and stay where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit www.ncbgambling.org.
Great news at Auto Center's Nissan Herculaneum. Their fall into savings event, well, that has been extended through the month of October. Low finance rates available right now, like 0% APR on Pathfinders, Rogues, and Altimas, plus 0.9% APR for 60 months on Frontier. Low lease payment options like $329 per month on the 2024 Rogue. You're going to love the savings and the financing deals that they have at Auto Centers Nissan. They've got over 700 new and used vehicles all in one location. The largest and best used selection in St. Louis. You're bound to find the perfect vehicle to match your lifestyle and your budget. New Nissans and select used vehicles come with their complimentary lifetime warranty. New Nissans come with a 30-day new car return promise and complimentary Nissan maintenance plan. When you head out to Herculaneum, tell them Anthony Stalter from 101 ESPN sent you. If you check them out online, view them at autocentersnissan.com. It's Auto Centers Nissan, Herculaneum.
Paying too much for your Viagra or Cialis? The Medicine Shop Pharmacy in St. Charles is the place to go for cheap ED meds. We're selling sildenafil, the same active ingredient in Viagra, for a fraction of the cost, less than $2 a pill. Give us your prescription and we'll take care of the rest. Don't have a doctor? Just click the telemedicine link on our website, stcharles.medicineshop.com. We offer free discreet shipping, 488 South 5th Street in St. Charles.
This is the opening drive on 101 ESPN. Brought to you by Sumner One.
Brooke, Dan, and Randy. It is the opening drive on 101 ESPN, and we are efforting Moose Johnston, the former Cowboys fullback, who is now the executive vice president of football operations for the UFL. And one of the things that we want to ask Moose about is tickets being on sale. Of course, here in St. Louis, Battlehawks tickets are quite popular. Battlehawks tickets for the 6 home games start at just $18 for each seat, and you get access to the best seats at the Dome, and you get a ticket member gift and more. Battlehawks season tickets for the 2025 season available for purchase now, and all you need to do is go to UFLBattlehawks.com/tickets, UFLBattlehawks.com/tickets, and hopefully they can break through and finally get to that elusive UFL championship game.
Yeah, I hope so. Especially you have the new turf this year, so that is something to watch for too. Because we talked about it. The turf was not great last year at the Dome. A lot of people noted that as well. And so now you have that new turf coming in. Have you guys seen it? It looks fantastic.
Yeah,
from all
it does.
the videos
Good
I've
job.
seen posted.
Yeah, I'm excited about it.
I enjoy Moose on the NFL games.
He's great.
Yes.
He's been there a long, long time, and he's been, I think, either the number 2 or number 3 analyst for Fox for a number of years. So maybe we can ask him a little bit about the National Football League as well.
And he's had a busy year. And one of the things that I think has got to be fun for broadcasters is it used to be he only saw the NFC, right, for Fox. But now that they flip-flop a lot of the games and they move around, he gets the opportunity to see a lot more teams. As a matter of fact, Moose Johnston, who's with us now on 101 ESPN, has the Colts and Dolphins this week on Fox. Moose with Brooke Grimsley and Dan McLaughlin. This is Randy Carricker. Thanks so much for joining us. How you doing?
Good, Randy.
Hey, let's start with this. Battlehawks season tickets on sale, and I know that you're aware of the success of the Battlehawks. As the director of football operations, what have you thought of the on-field product over the first couple of years of the UFL?
Well, that last year was season 1.
Well, season 1, right? Yeah.
So I think the biggest thing for us was with the merger coming together and going from 16 teams in Legacy XFL and Legacy USFL down to 8 teams for the first season in the UFL. We knew that there was a great opportunity for us to increase the product, the competition on the field in regards to football. So I think it was one of the things we noticed right away when the guys showed up for onboarding and getting ready for training camp. Just the body types that we saw at the different positions was very different than what we saw in Legacy USFL the first 2 seasons, and talking with everybody from Legacy XFL, they said the same thing. So we knew we had the potential there, and our coaches did a great job developing the guys during the course of camp and through the season, and talking to our coaches, just the windows were smaller. The pass protection was harder. They could tell and share stories of where the quality of the football was better in the UFL than it was in the XFL or the USFL the previous seasons.
Obviously, the fan support here in St. Louis is huge for the Battlehawks. They just continue to break records last season. What is the impression that you guys have of the Battlehawks fans and the atmosphere that they've created at the Battle Dome?
Yeah, we were always a little bit jealous of what the XFL had with St. Louis in the USFL. So it's great for our players to be able to get into that environment and play. One of the things that you have to do if you're going to go to St. Louis is you've got to be able to work on your silent counts, and that's something that maybe is not a big item in spring football. So it creates a unique environment, and I really think it's transitioned from a fan base trying to show that they deserve another opportunity for the city to have an NFL team to really getting behind the Battlehawks. You come out and you get an opportunity to visit football, and then you see some of the things that we do differently on game day, and then some of the other things that are kind of unique to the UFL. And all of a sudden you become a fan of that style of football. So it's been great to see, that fan base support the team. Got very close to having a very interesting championship game last year if they could have found a way to win that XFL conference championship and actually, been the home team hosting our championship game against Birmingham. So that would have been a very, very unique situation. And boy, we were projecting some huge numbers with the support that fan base has provided.
Daryl, you were a great player in the NFL, and now you're calling games and have been doing that for a number of years. I'm curious, does the NFL ask you about some of the rules in your league, and if it worked, and do you think it could work in the NFL? Did they ever ask you about that?
We have a lot of give and take back and forth with the NFL, and whether it's from some of our rule perspectives, some of our technology. It's definitely one of the areas that both of us were working with the NFL independently prior to the merger. And now since the merger, it's made that a lot easier. So a number of different things that we work with. I would say probably more than rules is our technology. I think at some point the NFL will go to video on the sideline. I know it's something that the college game has moved to now. Our players have always really enjoyed that. One of the great stories that I share with people is, our quarterbacks will say that when they sit down in the meeting room on Monday after the game and watch film with the coach, it's really, the second time they're seeing it. They've played the game, they're watching the video on the sideline, and now they're watching the video with their head coach. So they're so much further down the road in understanding, the intricacies of the offense, because in real time, with that video on the sideline, they're able to talk to their coaches during the game. So I think that is one that you would think the NFL would be looking at down the road. But yeah, it's been fun, to be able to kind of be that area of football where, whether it's us trying something out that they would like to see how it works, or us taking the lead on something that has caught the NFL's eye and having them, reach out and say, hey, how is that working out for you? Let's talk a little bit more about that one.
Daryl Moose Johnston of the NFL and of Fox with us on 101 ESPN. And Daryl, last week you had the Packers and the Cardinals, and Jordan Love came back, threw 4 touchdown passes, came back healthy. As you watch him play, we've got a pretty good sample size now. Is Jordan Love legitimately really, really good?
I think it's still early in his career. That's one of the things that we talked about. He's had the opportunity to sit and watch. I think that was one of the things that we talked about in our broadcast last week was some of the quarterbacks that have had that opportunity to sit and watch, and what impact has that made on their career moving forward. And you have both examples, whether a guy plays right away or a guy has the opportunity to sit and wait and watch. There's success and struggles in both of those situations. But, I think the amazing thing for Green Bay is, you go to Brett Favre, you go to Aaron Rodgers, and now do we have Jordan Love starting another decade-plus reign as the quarterback for the Green Bay Packers? I think that is very, very likely. And I think you'll continue to watch him grow. He's got tremendous confidence in his arm. We had a little bit of fun with him because the game previous to the Arizona game, he had a throw down inside the 5-yard line into triple coverage for 53 yards. And it was one of those ones where, Matt LaFleur looks at it and says, hey, that's not what we're talking about. So, it's just, sometimes you got to coach that out of a guy who's super talented. So, but I think that, in the environment that he's in, he's got a great group of wide receivers that he's working with right now. I think it's going to be fun to watch him grow.
How much fun and how much pride do you guys have in seeing UFL players go on to sign to NFL teams? Because I believe I've seen that it's around 80 players now that you guys have had go on to sign with NFL teams.
Yeah, it's a tremendous amount of pride for us. That's really what we're there for. We straddle that line between that developmental component that a lot of people want to talk about. We prefer to call ourselves a standalone professional football league that plays its games in the spring. We understand the developmental component and the opportunity that we create, and when we do have some of those guys fulfill that, it's awesome for us. And we've got a couple of great ones. Daniel Whalen, last week in Green Bay, punter from Legacy XFL a couple of years ago. We've got Brandon Aubrey in Dallas, Cavante Turpin in Dallas from Legacy USFL. And now we're starting to get our UFL guys out there. So it's really, really beneficial for the league itself as well, because when we talk to coaches, and this is something that's happened, probably over the last 10 or 12 years, and which makes spring football, very, very important right now. And I get this from coaches, weekly when I'm out on the road getting ready for my games with Fox, is, we just don't have the time anymore. The off season has been restricted. The college game has made restrictions. So when the guys leave college, there's still a lot of areas where they need to work on the details and get a little bit more technique sound. And we just don't have that time because we're always moving ahead. And a lot of these guys get left behind because if you don't catch the coach's eye and get that opportunity to work, you're not going to get the opportunity to develop. And one of the things that gets taken out of the schedule when we're having all these reductions in time is the individual periods. I mean, individual periods used to be 20 to 30 minutes because that's where you worked on your craft specifically to your position. And then you brought it together with your offensive group and you brought it together with your team. But one of the first things to go from a time standpoint was that individual period. So all the coaches say, what you guys are doing in the UFL is very, very important for us because it gives our guys an opportunity to get down there and really kind of dig into the detail. And our coaches do a tremendous job with that. And they know, sometimes it's football, sometimes it's personality, right? Sometimes it's accountability, it's punctuality. There's a lot of reasons why sometimes these guys missed out on that opportunity their first go around in the NFL. And anything we can do to help them get that second chance and stay up there is a lot of fun for us.
Daryl Moose Johnston, one more thing. You live in Dallas. You work out of Dallas. You're a legendary Cowboy, club that is last in the NFL in rushing right now, 26th in the NFL in rush defense. From what you've seen of the Cowboys and what you know of the Cowboys, are these problems that are fixable this year, or is this more of a personnel issue that they're going to have to fix during the offseason?
I think the defensive component is something that will get better when the guys get back. DeMarcus Lawrence is out of the lineup. Micah Parsons is out of the lineup. Eric Kendricks is out of the lineup. Those are three pretty critical guys, to have not on the field with you defensively. So there's reasons why some of those numbers could be skewed defensively. But offensively, I don't know what's going on. And you'll hear us talk about complementary football a lot. And in this example for Dallas, that means your defense is missing a lot of its key players. So the offense and special teams, have to kind of lift up a little bit and take some pressure off that defense. The margin for error shrinks dramatically, and I don't know why the run game hasn't come together. All the Dallas fans will talk about we didn't make a move in free agency in the offseason to secure a running back to replace Tony Pollard. But I think they've got a good combination. I think the offensive line is young, and they're struggling to kind of build that chemistry. That's a process you have to go through. But the one area that has really been kind of something that nobody really has an answer for here in Dallas is just watching Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb not be in sync this season. So the hard part for everybody here in Dallas is when they're not playing well, it's at the home games. So they're getting roughed up at home, and it's made for some sad Sundays when you get back into town.
Have a good weekend, sir. Thanks so much for your time, and we hope we'll see you at a crowded dome next spring.
Looking forward to being at my next Battlehawks game.
All right. Thanks, Moose. Take care.
Take care.
Daryl Moose Johnston of the UFL and Fox and Battlehawks tickets available right now, UFLBattlehawks.com/tickets. And I'm just devastated to hear that about the Cowboys.
Oh, you were not devastated. You had a smile on your face the whole time, Randy.
Okay, I've been outed. I've been outed. Yeah, if you're watching on the Air Alliance Team Studio Cam,
he's got to get a kick out of hearing Jerry Jones, though.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I don't care if you're a 3-time Super Bowl champ for the Dallas Cowboys, which he was. I think he was 2-time All-Pro. He was an All-American at Syracuse. He's a great player and legendary face of that franchise among, guys like Michael Irvin, Troy Aikman, and some of the others. But those guys just must get a kick out of saying what's happening here, listening to Jerry. I mean, there is nothing else that you would be talking about in Dallas right now than the Cowboys and the comments made by Jerry Jones. Probably nothing else.
Right.
And I'd be curious what these guys think.
Yeah, they were all Jimmy Johnson guys.
Yeah.
They knew. That's Dan. That's Brooke. I'm Randy. We've got some more NFL news and notes for you coming up here on 101 ESPN.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Los Angeles Dodgers took a lead in the NLCS last night with their 8-0 victory over the Mets. They can potentially take a stranglehold on the series with Game 4 tonight as they face off against the Mets with a 7:08 first pitch. Game 3 of a ALCS is tonight. The Yankees lead that series 2-0 right now. 4:08 is the first pitch there. And on 101 ESPN tonight, you can catch the Blues back in action as they host the Islanders. 7 p.m. puck drop, 6 p.m. pregame right here on your home for the St. Louis Blues, 101 ESPN and 101ESPN.com. That is your Sports Center update driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See them at londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
Couple of NFL news and notes for you. We'll start with this, with the acquisition of Davante Adams. The Jets have too many wide receivers, and Diana Rossini reporting at The Athletic that the Chargers, Mike Williams' old team, the Steelers, and the Saints, who have lost a couple of receivers this week to injury, are among a number of teams reaching out to the Jets about acquiring Mike Williams from them. So it doesn't look like Mike Williams' days with the Jets are very long.
No. And the Davante Adams situation is so interesting to me because the Jets obviously off to a 2-4 start. They're hoping that this will really change things. But my question is, what really is the ceiling for this team? And Davante Adams, can he make that big of a difference? I don't know. I mean, maybe we know. We watch how Aaron Rodgers and Adams worked together from 2014 to 2021. They combined for 615 receptions, 7,529 yards, and 68 touchdowns. But that was a while ago. Do you think that they can reconnect like that once again?
I think they can. Those last 3 losses that they've had, they lost 10-9, they lost 23-17, and they lost 23-20. All one-score games. Davante Adams can be I've had him on fantasy teams. He can be a score-a-game guy. He has been. Now, is he the same player that he was 2.5 years ago? Is Aaron Rodgers the same player he was 2.5 years ago? We don't know. But if they have the same level of chemistry that they had with the Packers, they could turn things around for a Jets team that, by the way, has a pretty tough schedule coming up, too.
This is amazing to me. Under Zach Wilson, this time last year, they had 113 points. Mm-hmm. This time, right now, they have 113 points.
How about that?
Zach Wilson was 3-3 at this time. Aaron Rodgers is 2-4. 5 interceptions. He actually has more interceptions than Zach Wilson at this point last year. Now, if you ask me who do I want on my team leading my offense, I'm going with Aaron Rodgers, but offensively, they have not been the team that they thought they were going to be, and Davante Adams, I would think, gives him a boost. I mean, they're better than they were a week ago, but a lot of close games and not be able to come through.
Obviously, you can see how happy Aaron Rodgers is to have Davante Adams around. I mean, you see he is super excited. I know. He is absolutely excited to have him around, but I don't know if I'm bought in that this will exactly make that big of a change for the Jets. I feel like there's so many other issues. They already dealt with everything with Saleh, and they had a chance to come out and get a big win. They still weren't able to do that. I just feel like there's a lot more under the surface here, and I don't know if Adams can fix all that.
Well, they've got a real problem in that Fireman Ed, the Jets mascot, thinks he's being phased out. He went on social media last night. He said, quote, "I don't know exactly what's going on, but they're phasing me out. I'd like to know if somebody knows anything. Please let me know because it's evident that it's happening and it needs to stop because we need home field advantage." Of course, he's been at Jets games for years. He said, Monday night in particular, although the Denver game also, last night in particular, we scored a touchdown, and normally as a tradition, we're always put on the screen. He said, we do the Jets chant to get the crowd going, which is a staple in Jet Life Stadium, but for whatever reason, they aren't putting me on the big screen anymore.
Well, they put him on national TV.
Yeah, at the start of the Monday night game, they put him on for like a minute.
Yeah, and did the JETS, Jets. He was leading the cheers. They showed that. They laid out so you could hear the crowd. Yeah. Calm down.
Yeah, I don't know if we need to get to the bottom of this or not. I have a question for you guys.
We will.
Yeah, so going back to this, and of course to Amari Cooper going to the Bills, who do you think will actually be more of a difference maker for their new team? Amari Cooper for the Bills or Davante Adams for the Jets? I'm going with Cooper.
I'm going with Cooper, too.
The financial situation is a good one for the Bills, so I would think that if you're looking at the business side of this, too, it's actually a better situation cap-wise looking forward beyond this year for the Bills than it is the Jets. But in terms of the on the field and who makes a difference, I'll go Devontae Adams. I think he can. And once he gets going with Brett Favre or with Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre, then Jordan Love. I think he can make a difference clearly with the Jets.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see. I just have a feeling with Amari Cooper and the way that things are going, you have a 4-2 Bills team, and then you have a 2-4 Jets team. Now, of course, a 2-4 team can still make the playoffs. The Titans did it in 2019 with their 2-4 start, but still, I just not bought in that everything is okay with this Jets team.
I don't think anything ever will be okay with the ownership that they have. Danny, I got a question for you. And
yes,
I don't know if your friends have the answer for this. The game of the weekend, late window, Fox, you've got the Chiefs at San Francisco for a Super Bowl rematch. Andy Reid, the Chiefs head coach, is 21-4 after a bye. Best in NFL history. For you and your friends, is that something that you lean on?
Yes.
That record?
Especially with him. He's been around forever. I was looking at that and seeing how he's done coming off a bye week. Although they go on the road, they're going to face a team that they faced in the Super Bowl last year. They're diminished in certain ways, but yet find a way to win. That's an interesting one for me. I think that's going to be fun to watch. I also think that the Steelers is a great game, too, with a lot of build-up with that, because this is incredible to me. Justin Fields would be the first QB in the Super Bowl era to lead a team to a 4-2 record and not start their 7th game.
Wow.
That's amazing to me. So there's some really cool storylines going on this week about, about a third of the way into the NFL season.
I'm really surprised by that, too, because why would you switch things right now in this moment? Why do you guys think that Tomlin is going with Russell Wilson in this situation?
There's a myriad of possibilities. Number one, if Russell Wilson is healthy, he might want to prove to his team, if he says, hey, you can't lose your job when you get hurt. That could be one thing. There are a couple of other things. Number one, maybe they just don't trust Justin Fields that much, despite the fact that the team success has been there. Maybe they think there's more upside to the offense. And then the other thing is, Dan, you mentioned, we're about a third of the way through the season. At some point, you're going to find out what Russell Wilson can do. Why not find out for a game or two, and then you have a ton of time left to put Fields back in there. You can say, okay, Fields just won the job. They're both healthy, and Fields played better, and now we have 10 games left, or however many, 8 games left.
I think the point that you made about Russell Wilson, I take out of the equation saying that, well, he was a starter, lost his job because of injury. No, this is the NFL. You're trying to win every single week. Now, he can say that publicly and get a little, feedback from the media and say, okay, that makes some sense. I think they feel he's the best option they have to win. Even though Justin Fields has won, their offense hasn't been very good. Their defense is excellent at times. But that's the way I look at it, is that they look at Russell Wilson as their best chance to win.
And
period.
He sees his team in practice. Mike Tomlin sees his team in practice every day, and it goes back to what Tony La Russa always told us. I know more about my team than you do. And Mike Tomlin, he's got a lot more winning seasons than I do as a head coach in the NFL, so I'm going to take his word over mine.
Yep.
They just must not believe that Justin Fields is ready to go. But I think that's another interesting point of, Russell Wilson, due to injury, he wasn't able to start as planned this season. Now that he's fully healthy, you give him a chance, and it's still a competition going on behind the scenes where if Wilson doesn't perform, then that competition is still going where Fields could take it over.
I don't think the competition will ever end there.
No.
It could. The only way it could is if Russell Wilson is just completely incompetent.
If he bombs this weekend,
then you just go back to Fields.
There's your answer right there.
Yeah. You want one other super fun fact? We were talking to Moose Johnston about how bad the Cowboys are against the run. Mm-hmm. The team that's 32nd in the NFL. 32nd in the NFL. How many teams are there in the NFL, Brooke?
There's 32.
32. Team that's 32nd in the NFL against the run is the Los Angeles Rams.
Ooh.
Feel for them.
Oh, you would love that, Randy. Yeah. Rams and the Cowboys in the bottom in that category.
Yeah.
Their wide receivers have been not good. Talking about the Cowboys. Even with CeeDee Lamb, Dak Prescott, those two have not hooked up. It's a bad situation.
Their offensive line is not as good as it has been in the past. The Cowboys just have a ton of problems, and I don't know if they do overcome those issues. I think they might wind up being a 5-8-9, 9-8 team.
And they've been terrible at home. Mm-hmm. Going back to the playoffs last year against the Packers, they're blown out. They've been blown out in 3 games at home this year.
Would say, blowed out.
Yeah. Well, they've been blowed out then.
Yeah. So those are your NFL news and notes on 101 ESPN. Coming up, we're going to head down the stretch with a quick edition of Rocc and Roll here on 101 ESPN.
Hey, happy birthday to Jay Delsing. Very nice spot that he does there. And here's another nice spot. This is for Stewart's American Mortgage. If you're someone who is looking to purchase a home or refinance, if you're looking to consolidate some of that ugly credit card debt, and maybe you don't know exactly what direction to go to in any of these things, we make it easy for you. Stewie will help you every step of the way. If it's a new home you're looking to purchase, he'll get you to the closing table fast. Try 10 days, and he'll get you the best interest rate possible. He also has the bagel loan that can help you out too. So what is the bagel loan? If you borrow $200,000 or more, there's no underwriting fees, no appraisal fees, no title fees, no lender fees, and no closing costs. Stewart is your guy. He makes it easy. Any questions on rates, the industry, the trends, give Stewart a call, and you can call him directly on his personal cell phone, 314-324-4440. Again, that number, 314-324-4440, or you can Google the bagel loan.
NMLS number 226715.
rock!
And roll.
Let's rock. Let's rock today.
The Rizzuto Show tonight at Hot Shots in Fenton from 6:30 to 8:30. Hang out with the guys and watch Thursday Night Football, Broncos and Saints. While you're there, get signed up for some Point merchandise and some 101 ESPN giveaways too. And enjoy a cold Bud Light Thursday. That's tonight from 6:30 to 8:30. Rafe and Stalter at Hot Shots Fenton, refreshed by Bud Light. All right, time for rock and roll. Matthew, what do you got for us?
I'm going to take everybody to Minneapolis, Minnesota last night.
Okay, Minnesota.
Score tied 77. 10.9 seconds left to go. Here's the call.
Into Phoebish. 8 seconds remaining in the fourth quarter of game 3. 4 seconds. Ionescu will heave and hit! And hit! Sabrina Ionescu with the biggest shot in Liberty history.
Sabrina Ionescu with an insane from the logo 3-point shot to take the lead and win game 3 of that final series. A little background to kind of maybe some context to the call about it being the biggest shot in New York Liberty history. New York Liberty are an original 8 franchise of the WNBA. They have played in 7 WNBA finals before this one. They have lost all 7 of those WNBA finals.
Wow.
Wow.
5 WNBA finals before this. 5. I was off by 2. I was doing my 2 wrong. 5 NBA finals. They've lost all 5 before this. So they are going for their first ever win in their 6th attempt. And it was tied 77-77 with 10.9 seconds in game 3 of a 5-game series. To pull up and take that shot in that moment is absolutely nuts. I'm not shocked it was Sabrina Ionescu who did it. If you don't remember her from her time at Oregon, she was absolutely ridiculous in the long line of players that kind of led the way to Caitlin Clark finally breaking through with college basketball. I would argue Maya Moore, Breanna Stewart, and Sabrina Ionescu were 3 of like the biggest names in creating a more watchable and just for the masses product with WNBA and women's college basketball. She's been amazing. There is one downside of this for a St. Louis connection, which is right now the current top performer in the playoffs in both points and rebounds is St. Louis's own Napheesa Collier, who is of course one of the players on the Minnesota Lynx, who are the opponent of the New York Liberty in this championship. Napheesa Collier, of course, has been incredible for the Lynx since she arrived there as a rookie a few years ago. She led them to a win in game 1 through 43 minutes played. She had 22 points, like 7 rebounds, a couple assists as well. So Napheesa Collier has been amazing. So I'm kind of hoping that the Lynx can make a comeback here and get a big win. But nonetheless, that was a huge moment in a huge game in just any kind of sport. It's stupid to take that shot and to hit it.
Oh, nuts. Unbelievable. Collier with a team high 22 last night, 9 of 22 from the floor and playing 40 minutes. And she was the reason Minnesota had a big lead. And then New York came back and was able to get it close. And then Ionescu with the winner at the end. But what a great game.
Yeah, Sabrina showing that Caitlin's not the only one that can hit logo 3s in the WNBA. So you're right. I mean, getting more attention to the WNBA has been great to see. And Caitlin Clark has helped with that. But this is also showcasing, too, that there's also been some other big stars along the way.
And I wonder how much, because I know, and I'm not a huge WNBA fan, but I know of her relationship with Kobe and how much he thought of her. So I like to see her succeed because he was such a champion of Sabrina.
Better not bring that up on the fight, though. Some of these, some of these names would be tough for you, Randall.
Rebecca Lobo.
No,
that's your constant answer.
Again, Randy, the entire point of this was Maya Moore, Breanna Stewart, Sabrina Ionescu, Caitlin Clark. We're in the new era of the WNBA. Maya Moore, obviously.
I think she might live here now. She might be listening.
Who?
Maya Moore.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, I hope she is because...
She got a guy out of jail in Missouri, St. Louis, and I believe she may have moved here.
Yeah, and she ended up being with him. That was an incredible story. She used that outreach and her fame to stand up for him. That was incredible. And she retired early.
Retired early to do
Yeah,
that.
she you look at Maya Moore's resume, combining her WNBA and college career. It's absolutely stupid. And right next to her is the person who had actually led the Liberty last night in scoring, which was Breanna Stewart, who had 30 points last night. She's going for her third WNBA championship. She's already been the MVP twice. She's ridiculous. Again, you go back and look at her stats, again, right off the heels of Maya Moore. You look at her stats combined from UConn and her now WNBA career across 3 or 4 different teams. It's unbelievable what these women have done across their entire careers. And I've been a Ionescu fan since she was at Oregon, and because it would be Pac-12 after dark and you get those late games, and she was doing that kind of stuff at Oregon. It's incredible. I love what they're doing. And obviously, Caitlin Clark's ridiculous, and I'm glad that she's taken the WNBA to new heights.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
That is Matthew Rocchio and Rocc Roll here on 101 ESPN. We do have a balloon party with T-Mac and Ajax coming up. Ajax is thrilled that we're almost in NBA mode for him, and that's what he's all about.
He's amped up for that, isn't he?
He really is. Jackson Burkett. Looking forward to that. But a great job, sir. Thank you.
Other than the weather, it's the best time of the year.
Yeah, there you go. It's a great time of year. Brooke, did you have fun today?
I did.
I think we all had a fun time.
Absolutely. Great job, Randall.
Great job by you.
Brooke and Rocc.
Dan is ready for the cold weather. He is ready to go.
I'm bundled up.
Not
cold in here.
Not a bad thing.
No.
Hey, we thank you for tuning in, texting in, and being a part of the show. For all of us until tomorrow morning at 7. Have a terrific Friday Eve, St. Louis.